Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my cousin's basement, live from my cousin's basement. I am your host, your ghost host with the most, Tim Patrick, and with me always is my hetero family mates, the lunchbox, my Beavis to my butthead, Rando.
What's up, Tim?
Same old bullshit, different bullshit day. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man.
Good.
We haven't been on the podcast in a minute, so
No? What's up? Why is that? Huh?
I don't know. Life, kids, whatever excuse you want to make up for it.
Jail time?
Jail time, yeah. I mean, of course, we always want a podcast, but you
Right.
know, we have wives and people that don't let us do these kind of fun things as much
I
as
thought
we
you
like
said
to.
we have lives that won't let us do it. I'm like, well, that, if you want to put it that way.
Well, we got lives and we got wives,
Right.
So we got two excuses.
Exactly. Wardens and life sentences.
So what is the topic we're going to talk about today? Tim?
Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, is something that Rando and I always talk about on the phone constantly, or even just through text, is Kevin Smith. He's got a new movie coming out September 13th through the 15th at your local theater, but I'm not sure if it's any more than that or not. But he's doing that along with a tour of the movie Clerks 3.
Which is weird to me to think, and that's what I've been looking up, so I don't have any definitive answers. Why would Paramount do a movie for 2 days released in the theaters?
Well, if you think a lot of movies nowadays are doing that kind of stuff to get people to go to the theater, you know, like even with like Halloween Kills when Peacock, it went straight to Peacock. You know, nobody went to the theater. Obviously, we were still not post COVID, but during COVID at that time. But at the same time, people want to go to theaters and what have you.
I really hope it's not a 2 day release, because that might be limited for me to go to the theater and see it. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's a 2 day release, maybe in select theaters. I bet certain theaters will hold it for a little bit longer, but if not, maybe it'll be on Paramount Plus right away. And then maybe they're trying to sell Paramount Plus subscriptions too. So
My thing is, I'm crossing my fingers with is, that's fine if he wants to do the 13th, 50th thing, but he's doing a tour with it. So he's taking a Clerks 3 tour bus across America to watch it with people. So maybe if that's the case, you get another chance to watch it with Kevin Smith.
yeah, which is cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been doing all kinds of tour stuff like that nowadays. After releasing movies and going out and see college campuses and what have you, whatever. And you know, that seems to draw people out even more because you get to see the actual actors or director, whatever, in the movie. We get to see it in the movies with you.
Yeah.
And people can ask questions or they can praise him and stuff like that. You know, it's not an ego thing. It's Kevin Smith giving back to the community,
Yeah.
especially all the fans that he's had for so long.
Well, the way I look at it is, he's doing a Kevin Smith movie, and it's kind of like fan service, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's completing the trilogy of Clerks, and I think a lot of people have been wanting this for a long time. And I think people also are going to have their expectations and hopes and dreams set on this movie going to be as good as the first and second, and it's probably not because of the way the world is right now, with how PC everything is and stuff. You're not going to see Randall and Dante making as fucked up jokes, as we'll call it, as they did before. They're probably gonna do something, or they're gonna walk the line and be like border messed up, which will still be funny because I think they'll still be Dante and Randall.
Right.
I just don't think we're gonna have the humor that people are expecting, like we saw in Clerks 2, which was awesome, and Clerks 1. I think nowadays people will get really offended over it.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and if that's the kind of people he's catering to, you know what? Shame on him, in my opinion, because the people who are going to come out and see the movie are the ones that want to see this kind of stuff. So I hope he still has some messed up humor in there, but just also people got to remember, it's a movie, man. Like, this is
Right.
Kevin Smith. This is what it's been about. That is where I think the disappointment will come if people are going to be like set on Dante and Randall being messed up, unless there's going to be like a life lesson, like they're growing up. But like, you know, obviously, they're still going to be themselves. So.
Right.
Is he going to be more mature? Maybe he's going to go down that route. Who knows? But I'm speculating the movie's still going to be Kevin Smith Clerks, is the way I'm looking at it. But I'm just not going to put all my eggs in one basket and assume, hey, this is going to be better than the first and second, because you know how it goes.
Yeah.
It's really hard to beat the first one, and usually the second one's not as good as the first, but the second one's really good too.
Yeah.
But going back to the store where they originally started, 1994 this movie came out, original Clerks, if anybody doesn't know. I think that's just one of those things that fans have been wanting. They've been wanting to go back to the regular store. I mean, you know for a fact that fans come from all around the world just to go see the shop now, and it's still a working convenience store, right?
Yeah. And I think I forget what the hell was next door. I think it's one of his CBD stores or something like that. One thing I'm thinking, this is just me spouting out, of course, my opinion, because I watched the trailer, which I thought was awesome, but I can't speculate too much. If you watch the Clerks movies, first two, you got Dante and Randall. The main part of them, or the main part of that movie, was all Dante, because you had Dante getting the, Caitlin Bree back, his girlfriend. You got Dante at work. You got Dante this. Everything's Dante. The second one, again, you have all Dante, nothing to do with Randall. Now this one is all Randall because Randall has a heart attack, and so I think the formula has changed, but not so much. Too much because A, it's still Kevin Smith movie, but B, there's not going to be the jokes that we want to hear.
Yeah,
I love hearing little gay jokes here and there. Kevin did in all his movies,
right?
And he dedicated his brother's gay, so he dedicated the movies to his brother. So it's not like he's out to offend anybody. He's just having fun with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that too. That his brother's gay.
Yeah,
that's why he's more PC and more like we can say whatever, more progressive with what's going on in the world, right? So, but it doesn't take away from the film to me to make it like something terrible. Like again, just to bring up on this while we're on this topic subject, like when Clerks 3 got released and people were on there, I noticed there's a lot of people like, it's going to be a super woke movie. He's super woke. Kevin Smith's not the same Kevin Smith. Like, fat Kevin Smith was better than the new Kevin Smith. And it's like, well, maybe he had a change of heart or change of mind. Or maybe he's still Kevin Smith, but maybe this is what he has to do to check these boxes to get movies greenlit because, well, that's just the way the world works now, right? And it's like,
right.
Do you want a Clerks 3 movie or do you not? And some people are like, I just rather him not do any more movies. And it's like,
then don't fucking go see it.
Exactly. It's like, go fuck yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Like, majority of fans want to see it, and if it's great, if it's good, great. And it's like if it's not, he'll get the feedback, and he'll be like, okay, well, I shouldn't have done that, and maybe he'll make the next movie better. Whatever he does out of his trilogy movies and stuff he's made. But I think he's gonna do the send off right for this movie. Like, people are like, oh, if you watch the trailer, it looks so terrible, and it's like, how the fuck can you tell a movie looks terrible from the trailer? Like, not saying you can't. There is movies that look terrible in trailers, and it's like, or you're not interested in. But overall, he didn't give away the whole movie in the trailer. Like, he gave away bits and pieces of like things that make people excited. So to me, Clerks 3, it looks promising. That's all I can say. Like, I'm excited for it, because I'm a Kevin Smith fan. So overall, do I like all his work? No, and we'll discuss that. But like I wasn't into like the He-Man stuff that he just redid, and he got really bashed for it. And it actually got really bad reviews. And it's like, what? He came out and apologized for it because he tried something, it didn't work, and oops, like it didn't, it is what it is. But overall, still like the guy. Like, like people are allowed to like bring ideas to something, and it either works or it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
It's just taking chances and being innovative or trying something new that he hasn't done before. It's just like what musicians or anybody does in any industry. It's like, who wants to keep repeating the same thing verbatim, like vomit coming out over and over again, like a broken record or something? It's like, I don't know. I can just appreciate where he's coming from. I'm not a movie director or creator, but it's like, at least give the guy some kudos for still coming out and trying something different. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
he's always gone against the grain. Let the man do it. Shit.
Well, we could talk about it also where most people didn't even realize, like, he did these indie films and it took years for him to blow up, and then all of a sudden it became like a pop culture phenomenon for Kevin Smith, and now he's like
a household name.
Yeah, he's all in, right? Like everything about what he does now, he's trying to keep the hype going, I guess you can say, for his stuff.
Stay relevant,
and like, it's kind of like a nostalgia grab for a lot of people too. Like for us or people that have known about Kevin Smith for a long time, people are wanting to see his material and content still going. Like, obviously Jane Bob, or like his biggest things, he goes around and sells and stuff, but I think he looks at it from every angle. He tries to make money off anything and everything that he can from his universe. I've noticed that lately, especially on social media. Like, he always has got some new product he's selling or something. And dude, they always sell out. Like, they're always selling out. And people are like, oh, like he's just looking to make money. It's like, Well, yeah, he's not making $25 million being an actor in this. Like he does it for his fans and for the fun, but also he's still trying to provide for him and his family. That's and he probably doesn't
Exactly.
not saying he doesn't make good money, but he's put his blood, sweat, and tears in this, and now he deserves it. So now you be doing the same thing. People will be doing the same thing, and I like it, man. I like all this shit. I like a lot of the toys and all the crappy stuff. They're just expensive. I think that's my biggest.
I don't think it's his fault either. I mean, it's Funko's fault. It's the Secret Stash stuff. Yeah, that is his fault in a way.
Yeah.
In a way, I don't. He does it or Walt does it or whoever does, but it's this is all his stuff that he has personalized. At least on some of the things, I should say, he'll even autograph it for you.
Yeah.
No extra charge. Sometimes, or you'll getting his stuff from the Secret Stash, like the hockey jersey from what's his name, Zach and Mary. You can also buy Buddy Christ. Just random things from his movies. That's what makes it so special, and even more special. And
getting the props.
Yeah, exactly. Because he wants his movies to live on forever. A lot of people don't give a shit about movies back then in the day, but then you have other movie buffs that are how you say, like I have two posters at home that are Animal House and Big Lebowski, two of the best movies ever fucking made. People come over and go, "What's that?" I'm like, "You've never seen Animal House? Oh, I've heard of it." I'm like, "Oh, so you heard of what? Who are you and why are you my friend?"
Exactly.
I quote Animal House on the daily, and that's what I like about it, because it keeps him relevant. And it's even a conversation piece kind of thing too. Even you just turned me down. Technical difficulties. What's going on?
No, nothing. I was just I heard a little bit of echo. And me talking. Try the room or something.
Is there reverb on? Turn reverb down. That's what.
It might be that, but yeah, it also I think just people love to hate. What it comes down to, and he's got a lot of haters.
You're gonna have haters. If you got lovers, you're gonna have haters. There's no middle ground to it. Either you love them or you hate them, or you never heard of them.
Or you never heard of them, or you're not a big fan. Or you're just a casual fan. I'll see his stuff, but it's not like something I'm going on my way to go watch.
People are like that with all kinds of movies. People ask me if I see The Notebook or The Crying Game. I'm like, no. Why not? Well, it's not my kind of movie. Have you seen Halloween? No. Okay, then it's not your kind of movie. It's everyone's got their own things and their own movies and what have you, and that's how we all live. Is that we all have our own voice, our own opinions and stuff like that. And opinions on movies and TV shows and what have you.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is just in this day and era, everybody's got an opinion, right? Everybody thinks their opinion is correct.
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Nobody wants to hear it.
Exactly. That's a good way to.
I've been saying that for a while now.
So going off Clerks 3, we know that's coming out. We're just kind of speculating on it a little bit. Let's go back to, I guess,
the beginning.
The beginning of Kevin Smith. If anybody doesn't know who Kevin Smith is, well, now you're gonna figure it out. So why he's popular and stuff. So we'll start. When did you first see Clerks?
First time I saw Clerks, I want to say 95, 96-ish. A friend came over and asked me if I want to watch a movie about necrophilia. I'm like, huh? He's like, no, man, I got a funny movie about necrophilia. Like, okay. And then he's like, oh, okay, I'm joking with you. I'm fucking with you. There's a grocery store that was right by his house that he used to work, or mom and pop store he used to work at. And he's like, no, man, this movie is my life. I don't know. This is like they put a hidden camera in the store I work at, and let the cameras roll. I'm like, okay. So I watched it, and I thought it was the funniest fucking thing ever. I'm like, man, they need a sequel to this. This Kevin Smith guy needs to do something or whatever. And the guy goes, well, you just have to be a look. Here's the second one. And he popped up Mallrats. I'm like, shit, dude, hell yeah, put that thing on. And I was like, all right, I'm not disappointed, but it's not the same thing, but it's still fucking great. And I loved all the freaking jokes in Clerks. I mean, there was nothing about Clerks I did not like.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, besides it being black and white, I was kind of confused about that. But other than that, just knowing before IMDb, before the internet, that this kind of movie was out, and it was fucking awesome.
I think you actually introduced me to Clerks.
Probably.
To be honest with you,
Probably.
and I think, well, let's see, it was probably in the '90s.
Yeah.
So it wasn't '94 when it
It's
came
like
out.
98-ish, because that's when my dad and Mary got married.
Yeah, so it was probably like 98, 99, something
Yeah.
around there. Because I remember coming to your house and I remember sitting in the basement and I remember watching it. And I'm like, man, this is funny, right? And
I kept saying, "Don't tell your mom."
yeah, don't tell your mom. I don't remember when the next time I actually watched it from them, because it wasn't like a movie that was played on TV as much, right?
Right,
It
yeah.
was some kind of like underground. Like if
Yeah,
you become Smith,
It didn't go to HBO or anything like that, like most movies do. It was in the theaters for a little bit and went straight to VHS.
Yeah, so the I didn't think I watched it for a while, but then when Clerks 2 came out, well, we'll still talk about Clerks 1 for a minute. I watched it, thought it was hilarious. I didn't know a lot about Kevin Smith, and this is right before the .com boom, the internet boom, so there wasn't like stuff you could just go look up on Kevin Smith,
Right.
unless you knew about him and his universe. It was very hard to get information on him back then, so I enjoyed the film for what it was, and I was like, this is cool. I like this stuff, or whatever, and I just knew the name. It wasn't a household name, but it was a name that I knew from you. And I'm glad you introduced me to it, because now I've been, altered.
Here we are.
Yeah. So talking about it, I think I remember trying to introduce my friends to it in high school,
Yeah.
and some of them liked it, some of them were like, yeah, it was okay or whatever, because it's obviously, to them it looks dated. It's black and white,
Exactly.
whatever. The jokes all stuck. So, all my friends, being back there, we're all immature. So it's like that shit was all funny. Like that's what, yeah,
Word.
But overall, to me, what made the movie memorable was Dante and Randall.
Yeah.
Obviously, the camaraderie of the two guys. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Jay and Silent Bob.
But they weren't that really.
They weren't the main premise of the
Yeah.
storyline. Like, they
Yeah.
were just the guys that hung out in front of this stuff and sold drugs or whatever.
Yeah. Made a few cocky jokes and.
Yeah, but Dante and Randall were the
Yeah.
premise, and I was like, I really liked what they brought. If you weren't a movie buff and saw that, or you met those guys in real life during that, in the perfect world, you would think those guys are friends, just
Yeah.
because how they talk and
The
the banter
chemistry,
and the chemistry, right?
Yeah.
So that was a great pairing that Kevin Smith put those guys together.
Yeah.
But then going for my next movie I saw, unless you got any more stuff to talk about Clerks.
Yeah, I'll talk Clerks some more.
Yeah, let's talk about Clerks more.
What I thought was great, like I said, my friend said this is a movie about his life at work. I'm like, it was so true.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize the crap that people get for working in retail or working at a grocery store or anything. They don't know the other side of the story. Seeing Dante, having to put up with, he has to put a cat box so the cat can take your shit.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a, people will put loose change on the counter and just take the change they take and for newspapers, or the milkmaid ladies, like little stuff like that. People don't see that and don't realize that really does fucking happen. Any job that they should make a movie about pretty much any job nowadays, which they pretty much have now. That nobody sees the other side of it because they don't care,
Mm-hmm.
or it's like we wouldn't have as many Karens nowadays if those Karens saw what the people that they yelled at went through.
That's true.
If I met a Karen and she started, example wise, I work at Walmart, Karen's coming up to me and starts cussing me out, telling me I'm worthless piece of shit, all this and that, and then wants me to call my manager, I'd feel like shit, whatever. I wish there was like Undercover Boss where we switched it, where Karen worked at Walmart and I got in her face and how she felt.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point you just brought up too, because it's like, what's the point I made?
It's relevancy.
It's relevant because it's like that he put it in the show or the movie too, because Kevin Smith put the old man coming in bitching about
coffee's too hot.
Or Randall not being there to run a movie, and he's like, this is why you're fucking disc jockeying a register instead of out there actually working a real job and like contributing to society. And then he forgets his keys and throws in the trash. And you forgot your keys, like fuck you. It's kind of like karma for him coming over and bitching at him for somebody not doing, being a good, person at a job or doing their job well.
Yeah.
And it's comical because that's the kind of stuff people deal with on a daily basis, dealing with the public, right?
Yeah.
And to your point, I think my favorite, I forgot to even bring this up, but I'm glad you did, is that's kind of like the moral of the story. It's like, you never realize what these people go through on a daily basis because you don't work their job from 9 to 5 and you don't walk a day in their shoes, so you don't have to deal with the customers and the bullshit that you have to do to open a convenient food mart or store, or whatever it is, bodega, whatever you want to call this store. I think it's more convenient food mart type store.
Yeah, convenience store. Or whatever.
Convenience store, and I would just, it sucks because I think it also opens your eyes to everybody works shitty jobs in their life, and it kind of makes you kind of appreciate when you get a good job. You're like, man, I remember working this shitty job, whatever. Now there might be some good times and there's some bad times with any job, but probably more bad than good. And this is one of those scenarios where it's like he fucking hates his job, he hates his life, and he's too much of a wuss to step up to his boss and tell him, I'm not coming in today. The premise of his or his favorite or famous quote line, I'm not even supposed to be here today, is kind of like him. I think Randall even says to him at the end of the Clerks, was kind of like, you're not even supposed to be here today. He's like, fuck you, like, you're too much of a pussy.
Pushing buttons.
Yeah, pushing buttons and doing stuff. It's like, you're too much to push back and say I'm not going to be here today,
Well, think about this. This is the perfect example. I know you'll agree with it because I know how you are. Is Dante is the yes man. He is you. He's the one that, you see him pricing stuff and he mentions, isn't it weird that everything ends in 9? Then you got, he makes the coffee, he gets the paper. He is you. As the corporate robot monkey, whatever, you have to listen to the man. Randall is the one you want to be, where he's like, fuck you, I do what I want to do, I'll make fun of you, I'll spit water on you, I'll look at porno while working, flash it to you. He's what you want to be at that job.
Yeah.
It's totally black and white right there.
He's the guy that
we all want to be.
We all want to be, and I think it's also... he gives no fucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're saying, like he gives no fucks about it at his job, and I think that it has to do with the fact that you either have that attitude or you don't. And I think Dante obviously is like, I need this job. Like, he's like a normal person.
He's the one that gets stepped on because you think about it. Because remember, he called his boss to find out where he was, and he's like, oh, he's in Vermont. Let me take that back. He said, oh, he's in Vermont, so then he realized he's stuck there all day. But he said earlier on that, I've got a hockey game at 2, you'll be there by noon, or I'm walking. He didn't walk.
That's true.
So like I said, he's the one that gets stepped on and people shit on him, and he's the yes man that people go into to be.
Well, to your point too, I guess about that is the fact that he is the yes man, but most people that work for the yes man because they're fear of losing their job because you don't have anything backed up for nothing next. So at that point, you kind of do turn into the corporate monkey, like at first. But to talk about that is, because they'll like sing and dance for me and do all this kind of stuff, whatever you
dance while you dance.
Yeah. I think that happens more true when you first get a job and like, you're really excited about it. Then after a while, you kind of, and it might be, I don't know who had the dog. I always wondered this: who had their job longer, Dante or Randall?
I thought he said he got Randall hired, but I don't remember.
Okay, maybe he did, But most of the time, when you start a new job, like you're all giddy and excited about it, but then after a while, and the routine and how everything goes, especially those kind of jobs, you're like, fuck this. Like I'm gonna do the bare minimum and get by or whatever. And it starts.
Boss ain't here, shit.
He's never here. Like it's always just us two running the store. Like I've been in that situation. Yeah. Been in that situations actually not plenty of times, but 2 times I would say from 2 different jobs, and it's relatable because you want to do a good job and you want to be a good employee, but when you get what's the word I'm looking for? I guess kudos, or you get no appreciation for what you do. You just get shit on all the time. And you're not probably getting a good raise, or
recognition.
Recognition. That's exactly the word I was looking for. You just say fuck it. Like if no one gives me time of day, why would I give anybody else? Right? Like where's mine? Yeah. Type of thing. I think that happens to a lot of people at jobs. And you just get burned out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which I think that's what this movie really depicts, and that's why it really resonates with people, especially nowadays, and why there's such a big following for Clerks. Is because everybody's worked this kind of job. Yeah. Or most people. Maybe not today with these privileged kids that don't want to work at Wendy's or whatever. They need $20 an hour to work at McDonald's. But for most majority of people our age or even younger that have worked these jobs, it makes you humble, and it kind of makes you more well-rounded, and it makes you a better person and a better employee when it comes to a job down the road. Because once you get a job that really is cake and really in your wheelhouse or your niche or whatever you're looking for, it kind of makes you realize, like, oh man, I had to work these shitty jobs to actually get to a job that I actually really wanted and appreciated. And trials and tribulations, I guess.
It's like having a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
You start out with one where she breaks your cherry, and you don't know what the hell you're doing, and then you work your way up. That's what it's all about. I was also going to say, along with the relevancy kind of thing, is that Randall is, how do I say it? How I was going to word that? I'm sorry.
Randall's what?
I'm thinking. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I just finished too. Okay. Randall has been he. All right, you've been at a job. I'll skip that because I can't remember what I was saying now. Okay, now you've been at a job long enough where you have names for your customers. You don't know them by, hey, here comes Randy, or hey, here comes Tim. No, here comes the milk lady. Here milkmaid.
Yep.
Here comes the egg guy. When you have stuff like that, it's like living in your neighborhood. You don't know anybody, but you got a name for them.
That's true.
And
I'll just speak to that because my new job, or the job I've had now for 12 years or whatever, I'm not going to say what job I have, but...
McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's. It was...
No sponsorship.
The people that we have working there, we have nicknames for. And at least I make nicknames for everybody, and everyone... It kind of caught on.
Good thing I ain't there.
That's true. But, like, when I was there, like, I used to do this, even at the gym. Like, I went to the gym for so long, I'd start coming up with nicknames with the regular people I see up there all the time. I would call them in my head who I'd call them, and then, like, when I talk to my friends, I'm like, oh, you talking about that guy over there? What's his name? And they're like, what do you mean? And I would just tell them that's my nickname for him, and they'd just laugh. It kind of incorporated that into my work life, too, because I do that a lot. I'm sure other people do this, too. They're guilty of it, but... Yeah, there's certain people I see all the time, and they're like, oh, there's Whitey, whatever, because he's super white, so I call him, like, Whitey. In my head, I'm not going to call him Whitey to his fucking face, but,
He's the dark and black guy, though, but anyway.
Yeah, or whoever, and it's like, oh, that's, I don't know, I'm just making up names now, whatever, but, like, there's Prime Time, or there's Hawaii 5-0, because he always dresses really flashy, or whatever. We really call some guy Hawaii 5-0, because he dressed like that. He looked like somebody from Hawaii 5-0. Yeah. So, to your point, that is pretty cool. Like, that kind of, I don't know if I got that from the movies or if it's just part of my personality or maybe it's just our personality. I don't know.
Probably that.
That probably is true. I'm sure when you worked at some of your jobs,
I still do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I knew my neighbors on next to us on both sides, and that's it. I don't know anybody else, and they all got names. I can't say them on here because bad words. Anyway, another thing about Clerks too. Clerks is that the love life of Dante. We've all been there where we were stewing over our ex-girlfriend because she took a cherry, or you loved her so much and you didn't know she was cheating on you, and it's like Bob says at the end of the movie is there's plenty of fine women in the world, but not all of them bring you lasagna, and that makes you think. With the girl that you're with, does she really appreciate you? Does she really appreciate you, or are you just goo gone over the ex that your sex was so good that you're thinking with the wrong head?
Right. Well, it's you're love blind. Like you're so in love with somebody, infatuated with them, that you ignore all the signs because you just don't want to believe it because you want to stay with this person. I think we've all been there. I've been there with that kind of stuff, and it sucks because anybody. Here's the best way to look at it is this way. Somebody remember told me you can go tell somebody 30 different ways from Sunday that this person's doing this and this, whatever, but until you figure it out for yourself, you have to see it or you have to do whatever, then you will actually believe it. Because you could come over and tell me that my wife's cheating on me, I'd be like, yeah, right, fuck you. Or even if I believed you, but until I saw it for my own self and had it resonate with me, then it wouldn't happen. So I think that's what happens with Dante the entire time, with Randall the whole time, like, hey, like you're still stewing over Caitlin or whatever, and you got this great chick or whatever, and I think that's what it does sit well with people in the movie too. It's like everybody's got an experience like that they can kind of bring up, and like you're in the middle of like you're still in that love circle or triangle, like you have a new girlfriend, but you're still
hung up in the last one.
Yeah, like is she the rebound or is she the new chick? Right. And I think that happens to a lot of people where they start dating someone. It's like, well, I don't want to be someone's rebound, but and you try to like sure yourself like, hey, this person's on a rebound or whatever. But then when you see that person, something like happens, and you're like, I'm gonna be back with this person.
Yeah.
You know, then you go back to them, and it usually never works out.
Right. I mean, it's another relatable thing again. You know, it's what happens. Not the necrophilia, but we won't talk about that here. You know, I'm not even sure if we can or not because of YouTube values. But you know, some of the stuff in there, like let me think here. Randall with the ruse lady, as I call her. That you know that is so classic me. If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, Randall's in the this video store. This woman's not even paying attention, reading a newspaper. This woman asks him about a movie, and he said he doesn't watch movies yet. He's working in a video store. Then she turns around and says, "What about these?" And they're the same exact movies, and he says they suck. And they just go back and forth, and it's
that is one of the best parts in the movie.
Yeah, I think that for me that is my favorite part. Mm-hmm. That is me.
I think that is probably you to a T. It does describe people like you were saying earlier, like he doesn't give a fuck. He's just there to get a paycheck, but he does like watching movies. Yeah, obviously.
Hermaphroditic porn.
Yeah, weird stuff and shit. But overall, I think my favorite part of the movie, I think I told you the other day, it has to be 37. You know, in the movie when he talks about that, and that's relatable too because he talks to his girlfriend, and what I'm about to elaborate on is you always ask those questions to your significant others.
What's your body count?
What's your body count?
Yeah.
How many people have you slept with? How many people have you done stuff with? And like he tells her what I've been like with 10 or something, and she's been with 2. And
he's like 12.
And then he finds out that she's went down on 37 guys, and he's number 37 or 36, and he's number 37. And how he goes. She's like, well, I didn't freak out on you when I told you how many guys I slept with. He goes, that doesn't matter. This is important. Like, I need to know.
Right.
Like pretty much excuse what she had to say or whatever, that his stuff was more important. Yeah. So I thought that was fucking pretty funny because it was like, no, you gotta understand, like, this is important. Like, you know, screw how many people you slept with. I don't even know how many people you went down on. You know what I'm saying? So that part to me was, dude, it was just so funny. Like, I think that's why it's my favorite part in the movie. And then we wouldn't be doing justice for the movie at all. We didn't talk about Jane Silent Bob.
Of course, I was gonna say that's where I was going next.
When introduced, actually, the iconic characters have made them, I think, very relevant outside of Clerks.
6 or 7 movies they've been in,
6 or 7 movies, and then they've even made cameos in movies and stuff, right?
Yep.
So we're looking at they get introduced at the beginning where. You know, Jane and Silent Bob walk up right in front of the movie store.
Light up a cigarette,
and he gets out a beer, and I
think it's milk, but I don't know.
Is it milk?
Yeah, it's something. It's not a beer.
It's not a beer. I thought it was
he
beer.
twists it like a plastic bottle or something.
Oh, okay. Well, either way.
Because he kicks it. Remember?
That's right. He kicks it. I thought it was a beer.
Either way.
Either way, he kicks it and is like, "I love women," you know, like, and he starts talking or whatever, and you can relate to it because.
You know that you know a stoner guy.
You know a stoner guy, and you knew. I mean, 1 or 2 guys, but you didn't know they hung out in front of a convenience store selling drugs. Obviously, the reality is you're not going to be able to hang out in front of a convenience store.
Back in the '90s, you could do that. See?
You think so?
You know, yeah. Shit, I know so.
Okay, well,
you know, it depends on where you're at.
But, I guess that could be true in some forms. I was just thinking more like even in the '90s, people would complain that there's somebody in front of the convenience store selling weed or doing something.
Yeah, there's people who did complain about it, but still, you know, they just got the clerk or whatever to tell them to leave, and then they would leave, and then they'd be back, or they'd be on the side of the building, or you know, they'd still stick around because they knew people were coming in and out of there all the damn time, kids, anything.
Yeah, and I think what makes it relatable and people entertaining is, one, they're entertaining because, well, it's weird that Silent Bob doesn't talk at all, right? Or
he's at the very end. He always makes the Yoda wise words somewhere in the movie.
Kind of like Stan and Kyle do at the end of South Park.
Yeah.
You know, they have like a coming to Jesus moment, and they like to tell everybody what's going on. So like kind of like Kevin Smith did with Silent Bob. But he always makes funny face gestures and like hand points. But he's always smoking a fucking cigarette in the movie. Yeah. Always. Like he's always got one lit up or something.
Now it's weed, I think, or CBD.
It could be CBD. It could be whatever.
Yeah.
But overall, like what always grabbed and stuck with me is because I was around a kid there around that time, so it's like I could relate to him. It's like I like Jay and I like Bob. It's like we all knew a Jay or something, you know, kind of that was like outspoken, out really loud, funny. Yeah. But also like very like cocky and shit. And at the end of the day, he probably didn't get a lot of women, but he acted like he did. Like he, you know, very confident. You know,
He's gonna get them high and fuck them all.
High and fuck them all, yeah. And it just made it funny. Like, it was like they're the kind of the comedic relief in the movie, the way I look at them. So it was always relatable because, well, honestly, I smoked weed back in those days, so I thought that was cool. And it's like, yeah, it was like I wouldn't call myself a stoner, but I probably was. But I didn't act and dress like they did. But they had their own swagger, something about them that made them enjoyable and
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you had Bob with the overcoat, the trench coat looking thing with the hat backwards, beard and long hair. Then you had Jay with his whatever band shirt, whatever underneath, like a clerk, was it Quick Stop shirt or something. He always had like layers and layers on, which I never understood. They're in Jersey. Was he freezing his ass off or what? But you know, he always had goofy shit on, and they always stuck out. You know, it's like you knew if you see anybody like that, you knew they were stoners.
Yep.
That's the funniest part about it.
It was funny, but you know, also I think I talked about this on a different podcast with my buddy Sam and Brain. I think my buddy Sam brought this up actually, and he made a great point. Like, people who smoked weed back in those days, they liked being labeled a stoner. Like, they dressed and acted a certain way or whatever. But when you got older, like, we'll say more in 2000 range, like when I was in high school in the early 2000s, people just, because you dressed a certain way, they related you to a certain demographic when you weren't. Like, same thing like if you liked death metal or something, or Metallica, that you were part, you worshiped Satan.
They put you in a clique.
Yeah, they labeled you and put you in a clique without even actually knowing you. But then it became like more of a like social trend for people at school to be like, oh, I'm all stoned, ate up, and I wear Bob Marley shirts or whatever. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with Bob Marley, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But it's like a lot of it was fake. Yeah. You know, it was like a perception thing that people.
They wanted to look cool.
They wanted to look cool and act cool, and it's like, you know, for a moment it was cool, like during the 90s, 2000s, be like, it was like a burnout and talk about it, but it's like.
Now that you're older, you're like, fucking hey, dude, get over it.
Exactly. And I think my point of it is, it's like, you don't have to be labeled a burnout or stoner to be cool. It's like, you can smoke weed and just live your life and do whatever. But I always disliked people that did that kind of stuff, like judge people just for a certain fact that because they smoked weed that they were automatically put in this demographic of people. Yeah. Whatever. And obviously the movie portrays that, which is cool. But in real life, it's like, you would get portrayed that also that way because of movies and stuff. Like, oh my God, there's Tim. He likes, horror movies. He must worship the devil. Or, and this brings like another scenario, but it's like, that's not true. I just like horror movies. You know what I'm saying? Okay, whatever. But,
I know, I'm kidding.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you get what you're pointing to. But anyway, that was just my little rant and side note about it. But
I'm going to go with something with that real quick. That if you're saying that and being the age that you are now and even the ages I am, I've seen people trying to either buy weed or if I've seen in movies people trying to smoke, and then half the time I'm like, they're not rolling that right. Or they didn't use that bong right. They didn't take out the bowl or nothing. They just lit it and that's it.
Yep.
Or they're doing it wrong kind of thing. And it's just, to me, it's just like, come on, man, go back to weed school or something.
Like details, like little minor details that people would notice if they're a stoner related to it.
I notice it every single time.
That's true. I've noticed that in many movies too. But I think those are just oversight things that they don't think people are going to notice, and now people.
Or they do it wrong on purpose so nobody copies it.
That's true. That is very true.
Go on.
No, I was just saying, just like thinking about it, like that is very true. I used to notice that kind of stuff in movies too. Yeah. It's like you always people rolling stuff or doing stuff, but
he cocked the gun wrong, or he didn't cock the shotgun. Then why is he shooting? And little mistakes here and there.
I think you're always gonna have those in movies.
Yeah,
right?
you're gonna. Yeah,
like
the movie's perfect.
Yeah, like when you do reshoots, like in American Pie, like the girl's holding a red cup and you look back and now she's holding a blue cup.
Yeah.
Like, little oversights like that because of money and budgeting, they're not going to reshoot something because
continuity.
Continuity. There you go.
What you were saying about Jay and Bob?
I was just saying, like Jay and Silent Bob were. They were some of my favorite characters. I mean, they are what made me come back to want to watch Clerks. Besides Dante and Randall, obviously, but I always enjoyed them. And then, I think the premise of the Clerks story was at the end, like.
Dante had a bad day.
Dante had a bad day.
We all have them.
But he works there with his best friend, which is always a good thing. And I guess he kind of takes it for granted sometimes at the end of the day, And I think they kind of have like at the end when they're talking about Caitlin or whatever they're talking about. Doesn't Randall kind of tell him like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, I think you know what I'm talking about. Like when they're sitting in the ground after getting a big fight.
Yeah, they're reminiscing about everything and how his day was and how
they ended up in the convenience store.
Yeah, and how Dante's a piece of shit because he he takes things for granted and getting walked on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's Dante having a bad day. Then his best friend, who he just beat up or they beat him up, whatever, is trying to help him help himself, so to say. Give him the wise words to figure out his life, because like he said, Randall said something. There's not always you're not always going to find that woman,
That's true.
or the right woman at that time. You're still young. Take your time. I think they said they were 22 in the movie or 24, something like that. It's like Randall had that bromance. He wanted Dante to tell him he loved him and stuff like that. Because that's what it was. Was almost every Clerks movie? Obviously, they're all working together, no matter what. But other movies that they weren't together for anything except for I think Randall was in Dogma or something like that, like quickly or something. But anyway,
yeah, that's true. To bring up that point, and it's a good point. You did make that. I forget that like they had that bromance, like good relationship, but also. I think he was pissed because, he liked his old ex, but then she got whatever happened to her. I'm not going to ruin the movie or whatever. But also then his other girlfriend came and found out that she was stewing over his old girlfriend, and she left, and he actually had a really good girlfriend. He knew that if he let her go, and he blames Randall for it. In reality, he needs to blame himself because he put himself in that situation. Right. Obviously, he let the bean slip or whatever, but at the same time, it was all dogpiling, and it all came to a head right there at the end, which was funny.
It needed to be put out there.
Yeah.
Especially if like Randall, he's known nothing about girls, whatever. So he was doing in a way he did Dante a favor. And that's what friends are for. Your friends don't always make your day. Sometimes they piss you off, but that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And in the long run, you still love them.
Forget and forgive, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But we wouldn't do. Before we move on, we would do this as a service if we didn't discuss how big of a hockey fan Kevin Smith is, since we're hockey fans. Also, they play fucking hockey on the roof of the store.
And Jaws, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to more of his.
Yeah,
his...
Dante was being, what's the word I'm looking for? Disgruntled employee, and he had a hockey game. So since he couldn't leave the store since the boss left, they played on the roof, which I thought was one of the best things ever.
It was really cool, and I've seen Clerks 3. They showed it in the trailer that they're going to be playing hockey on top of the store again, and I'm sure it's going to have something about with Dante having to get stuck at work again because Randall's sick or something's going on. Who knows?
He's in the hospital probably.
Yeah. And I thought it was cool because obviously I play hockey. Tim, you love hockey. Yeah. It's relatable. Obviously, Kevin Smith loves hockey. I've never found out if he actually played it or not. I'm sure he played it.
Yeah, he does. He's got his own, like I said, charity team called Puck U. And he plays goalie. Okay,
so anyway, he plays hockey, so he's a fan of it, which it was cool that he incorporates it into the movie. That was always something I was, always took in heart when I was a kid and watched Clerks. I was like, cool, they got hockey in the movie. Like anything that would just grab my attention, like, oh, I like this sport because that's what I play, whatever. So like when they go on the roof and they play and they get the disgruntled employee or customer that comes up and tells them start how to play D and like you suck, take the point, that kind of stuff. Because he wants to buy a pack of cigarettes or whatever. He told me he'd be open in a certain amount of time.
At the end of the third period.
Yeah. I thought it was great. And then obviously when they lose the ball, he's like, "You only brought one fucking ball. Like that was our only ball. Like whatever."
Which one did you bring? Orange one?
The
orange one.
Yeah. Like don't open the store. They're gonna drink all the Powerade or whatever, the Gatorade or whatever he does. And then he'll say, "He give me Gatorade later." And he's like, "They're all gone."
He's like, "Everyone, we don't have any." Exactly.
Yeah.
They took them all.
So I thought that was cool. I love that Kevin Smith's a big hockey fan. But then also, I think this is like I don't know if it's an Easter egg thing that's unknown with Kevin Smith, but all the things he puts into the movies or his movies, especially with Clerks, little hints and like little Easter egg things are things that he's into. So obviously hockey. He does a Star Wars type of little tribute with Dante and Randall going the kind of Randall goes in the
a couple of them actually, different rants.
Yeah, about like who works in the Death Star and the subcontractor bit or whatever, and then the Jaws reference, which you told me about. I guess he relates
Salsa Shark.
The Salsa Shark. And then there's something else. Does he talk about comic books and stuff in there, or does he not talk about comic books?
No, not yet. Not until Mallrats.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So I think those are the big three that I remember from Clerks. Is there anything else that I might have missed?
Smoking weed now pretty much is part of every single show that.
That's true. Smoking weed, I think, is part of his not personality perception, but part of his character. And that's just what people know him for. Like, hey, you're Silent Bob, you smoke weed, you're always lighting up weed or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, I don't care. There's always going to be a fan base for it because obviously weed, there's a big following for it. A lot of people smoke weed, just like
Yeah.
people do with alcohol or anything else. Like every movie you watch,
Somebody's doing one of those.
someone's always drinking or smoking a cigarette or doing something. Yeah. Most people aren't smoking weed because it's looked at as like the naughty, bad thing to do or whatever in movies. But now, come to find out, weed's not even labeled a gateway drug anymore. It's alcohol. So now it's been flipped. Kind of funny how it happens because obviously more people drink than they do actually smoke. And now weed's being legalized, and now it's actually looked at not as like a taboo thing. It's actually being looked at as like a real, reliable thing that people can do, and and it's got a lot of benefits more than people are saying. Now, obviously, they can make money off it too.
Of course.
Tax the fuck out of it, but
yeah.
I like that it's not a taboo thing anymore. Like that was like that's why I think it was relatable to people in the movie at the time too. Is like, oh, you smoke weed, you're a stoner. It's a taboo thing that people don't like to talk about. It's like more of like a closet thing. Like even people like that were like workers or 9 to 5 people that work a job that don't get labeled like a smoker, they probably do closet smoke and they can relate to it too. They just didn't tell people about it.
Right. It's like you said, and everything's medicinal now with it. So, and alcohol is not medicinal whatsoever. So
eventually, when it gets to a point where you can go buy it at a gas station, like Marlboro used to make weed cigarettes, or weed, like they sell in a pack like roll up joints. I think it was cigarettes. I don't even know if it had a filter on there or not, but
no, they didn't.
That was cool. I think one day we'll see something like that come back.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next 10 years, something.
Not even that, really. It depends, but yeah.
It just depends. Every state's different. Everything's different. But back to what we were talking about with Clerks and stuff, that was really cool. I don't think we left anything really out of the movie besides like going to the funeral and doing things like that to close the store. But that's just part of the movie. I don't think that's a major part of anything.
A good segue to Mallrats. Before, like I already told you, where first time I saw it was a woman dies in. Well, apparently, a woman dies in Mallrats. Judy Dwyer by doing very beginning of the movie. This is how it starts out. The boyfriend goes to get the girlfriend, but girlfriend's got to be on her dad's show because someone her boyfriend talked to apparently died doing swimming lessons because she said she looked fat, so she went to go try to lose weight before the show and she died. Little segue with that with Clerks is that that girl Judy Dwyer was one of Dante's illustrious 12.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, he says it in the movie.
But it's not the funeral he goes and sees at Clerks, is it?
No, it's the funeral. Yeah.
The same.
The Mallrats is supposed to be day 1. Clerks is supposed to be day 2.
Okay. I never knew that. So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So she's one. I think number 9 or something like that. I can't remember.
Okay.
So yeah, she was one of the ones that he fucked.
Okay. So segue into Mallrats. The first time I saw it, and this is the most random thing ever. I was hanging out with a bunch of girls. We went over to somebody's house, and I don't remember what we were doing, but they went in the basement and we're watching a movie, and someone turned on Mallrats.
Yeah.
And we're watching it in the big screen downstairs. I'm like, I've never seen this movie. And like, you never seen Mallrats or whatever? I was like, no, whatever. And I think I was in middle school. So I had to be 99, 2000, something around there. And they turned on, dude. And it was, again, I recognized Jay and Silent Bob. I was like, oh, okay, I know what this is. But I didn't really understand the premise of the story because I didn't really pay attention as well as I should have been. But after I watched it again, I was like, oh, I fucking love this movie. And I actually really do like it a lot because going back to what you're saying, it's like they go to the mall, they hang out, right? And that was a big thing in the 90s with us as kids. Like, it was like the place to go. Like, where do you want to go hang out with your friends this weekend? The mall, because there were so many things to do.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of it was just to go window shop and like run into girls and do stuff. But overall, it was always entertaining. So like when the movie came out, I was like, this movie is relatable and cool because that's what we do. Now it's kind of like a lost thing that people don't do. You can't even hang out the movies, or not movies, but
there's hardly any mall period left over.
There's any malls left over, but I think a lot of them you have to be 18 or older because so many kids are getting in fights and shit has happened up in stabbings and killings and all kinds of stuff. But
who knows what else? Yeah.
The premise of the movie, like you're saying, is the guy's girlfriend has to go on her dad's show to fill in for her, and he gets pissed off and they get in a fight and they break up, and then he's going after her at the mall to win her back and get her off her dad's show, so like she doesn't have to go on a date with some random.
Right.
And the cool part about it is right at the beginning you meet
T.S. and Brody, and they're both the main characters.
Yep. And he gets broken up with his girlfriend at the same time Brody does. Right? Because she says he needs to grow up, get out of his mom's basement, stop playing around, hanging out and playing Nintendo, and he won't introduce her to her mom.
Yeah.
So I think she gets pissed off, and then it's like they both meet up, and they're like, "Oh well," because they're best friends. They both meet up and say, "Both our girlfriends dumped us. Where are we gonna go? What are we gonna go do today?
Where else are you gonna go?
Where else are we gonna go? The mall, right? Like you just said." So I think that was kind of cool because that was like something I even did in my teenager years.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Again, a relatable thing like Clerks was.
Well, and it was relatable because I think he used to go there to hang out at the comic store. Yeah. Comic stores used to be in the mall.
Yep.
But not in the mall anymore. Or if they are, they're like at a V-Stock type place or whatever, like a Babges or something that people can relate to that's a resell shop or something that might have new and old stuff. But yeah, it just goes on from there where the whole time they're trying to track down their girlfriends and win them back, and then they run into, obviously, Jay and Silent Bob right at the beginning where they're sitting in front of the kitten place. But they never say if they're actually selling weed in the mall or doing anything.
No, they never mentioned it. Cause it was supposed. This one was supposed to be more PG, I think PG-13 or whatever. It was supposed to be they called it the Porkies of the 90s because they wanted it to be cleaner, but still have the Kevin Smith kind of edge. Kind of to it, but not so much where, like I said, Jay and Bob selling weed. The only time they actually mention weed is whenever the security guards catch them, and he pulls out a bag. Actually, no, take that back. They weren't selling. That was one part of the security guard pulled out the bag so they could have paraphernalia. But then also Jay and Bob got high with, or Jay got high with the contestants.
That's right, and then that's how.
But again, that's not selling. That's just them smoking it.
Right. So going on from there, there's a lot of quirky things that they do in there. Yeah. Obviously, they hire Jay and Silent Bob to try to wreck the show because obviously they're mischievous and they'll do stuff like that. Like he's like, "Shit, I was going to do that anyway." Like when they ask him, right?
Right.
Is they mess up the
Bob
show?
Keeps crashing through windows and dressing rooms to Joey Adams.
Yeah, that's true. And then they also show Silent Bob trying to do the Jedi mind trick. Another nod to Star Wars. He's like
the Batman trick. The fly flat ass fly.
Yeah, fly. Yeah.
Where do they get these wonderful toys?
Wait, so the Batman trick, fly fat as what is that from?
Just Batman, because remember he puts his arms out like bat wings, and he swoops.
Yeah.
There's that, and then like I said, when they're running away from the security guards, he does. Where do you get these wonderful toys? And kisses them.
That's true. That's a good point. And then what else? They also do the what's the part they do? I guess he finally does do the Jedi mind trick, but he doesn't really forget.
Yeah, he thinks he does.
The guy kicks the pole, whatever. They got the sailboat.
Yeah, Willem hits his head or kicks the pole,
and then he grabs the tape and thinks he does the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
That was cool. So that was like another nod back to it in Star Wars. But the biggest nod in the movie to me was when he gets to meet Stan Lee. This is kind of like the comic book entrance of like Kevin Smith being a huge mega nerd. And Brody is kind of like portraying Kevin Smith. I think in my head was that he's an ultra fanboy of comics. People didn't know this. He's a big Marvel fan and comic book fan.
Yeah. Not just Marvel, everything.
Yeah, everything. And he gets to meet Stan Lee, and Stan Lee tries to tell him that every show he's written over, like Spider-Man and Hulk and all this other stuff, was always over a girl, which in a sense kind of is like that in most of the comics. But I think he was kind of embellishing on purpose.
He was just trying to help him out.
Help him out. So.
One of my favorite parts with that was when he's asking, what about the thing? Does he have everything's rock hard? Does that mean his no? And Stan's like, no, we didn't touch on that.
Yeah.
And he's asking all these perverted questions.
He's like,
and Stan even mentions that to TS.
Yeah, he goes, I think there's something wrong with your friend. Like he's really fixated on parts of
superhero anatomy or something like that.
He's like the what do you say? Mr. Fantastic. Does his thing stretch out like everything else does?
That's the kind of questions I would ask. Just because.
Because it's just some random thing he wants to know.
And then like you said, Stanley was getting love advice to get his girlfriend back, and that was and T.S. trying to get back with Brandy was the whole idea.
So I think that was kind of like it was relatable to Clerks. I didn't know it took Dave before. I think he told me before. I think I just forgot, but. There is certain like funny things that they do use. People don't know this. Kevin Smith reuses a lot of the same characters
and same jokes. So like it's kind of part of his world. Yeah. So people like you said, like the View Askew universe is what it's called.
What is it called?
Yeah.
What? Say it again.
View Askew.
View Askew.
Yeah. So
like their quirky side comments.
Yeah.
It's kind of like me and my sister. Like we watch South Park and we'll say something. If you watch South Park, you'll know those references.
Yeah. Exactly. Right? Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's not just your sister, friends and what have you, inside jokes and stuff like that. If you've seen one, you're gonna hear the joke and you're like, I know that one.
Yeah. Like you said, like from regular Clerks, if you ever hear the number 37, now you
immediately
you relate it right back to Clerks.
Exactly. We had AC guys come out the other day, and the guy's sitting there typing stuff in while another guy's telling him a number, and he says 37. I go, in a row? And one guy just looks at me like,
did he know?
nods his head like, oh god.
Yeah. Did he know?
Yeah, he knew.
Okay.
That was great. But stuff like that, and then like I said, there's a lot of Jaws references in the movie, which I thought was kind of cool. Kevin Smith is a huge Jaws fan. You had, let me think, T.S. was going to propose to Brandy or get married on the Jaws as he jumped out of the water at Universal. You had T.S., which stands for the Shark. What was his last name? T.S. Quinn was the cop from Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Brody was the cop. Quinn was the guy who the ship captain.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what Brody's last name was, but it had something to do with Jaws again too. And it's just all these little things that have to do with like Jaws or Batman or Star Wars. I think that's really cool. Kevin gives nods to the movies that help pave his way.
Yeah, that's cool. You've told me the Jaws references before. I didn't know that. I guess is that one of the movies that like I'm started into filming or doing stuff?
Yeah, it's a major inspiration for Kevin.
Was Jaws?
Yeah, because it was Steven Spielberg, and it was one of those movies that stuck with people. Like a lot of people don't want to go to the pool now because of Jaws, or a lot of people don't want to go swimming at night because of Jaws. If you can make something, be it a song, even a poem, or even a movie that sticks with people forever and then generations forever, that's when you know you've done something right.
Yeah, you left your legacy on something.
Exactly, your legacy. There's the word for it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like Edgar Allan Poe, he wrote 1800s. People still quoting his movie or his shit. That's how you know you've made a mark, your legacy, your mark in history. Is if people keep mentioning.
I guess that's
your
what
stuff.
he's kind of done now with the Clerks thing. Why we're talking about it, like he's kind of leaving his legacy and stamp on things.
Yeah.
So going back to Mallrats, when's the first time you saw Mallrats?
Mallrats is, again, like I said, when I was watching Clerks with a friend of mine.
Did he have both movies at the time?
Yeah, because I said, man, we need to see. I wish there was a sequel to that. That would be awesome. And he popped it out. Now I was like, well, this isn't really a sequel. Well, it's still got Jay and Silent Bob in it. Okay,
kind of like a prequel.
Yeah, I didn't know at the time, and that was before we had extra scenes or deleted scenes. This was before DVDs, so we just watched the VHS, and I loved it from the start because I was like, Jay and Bob are fucking hilarious as hell. I didn't know all the Jaws references. I knew a couple of them and all of them, but Jay and Bob was cool. I love the whole dating game kind of thing, and Brody be a smart ass to the announcer.
Well, you know what's just funny? Sorry to interrupt you real quick. Dating games were huge in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see dating shows and stuff like that anymore.
You see Bachelor and stuff like that, but you don't watch. Nobody watches them anymore.
You know what I mean? Like people going on there with random people and like just meeting people off or whatever, and they're like, hey, now you two go on a date, like the dating show that used to be on MTV. What was it called?
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
there's one called Studs. I remember that.
No,
then there's the dating game.
I never was dating game, but there was an actual huge one on MTV.
On MTV, Singled Out.
Singled Out. That was
yes,
it.
Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. So anyway, keep going what you're talking about. That was just something that popped in my brain for like 90s nostalgia.
What was I talking about?
Your mom.
Oh yeah, my mom. She's dead. I forgot.
You were talking about Mallrats and how you got introduced.
Oh yeah, Mallrats. Sorry. I just loved it. Everything about it, and I didn't watch it again until after 2000 sometime. Just because I was getting more into not nostalgia, but horror. Classic horror movies. So I strayed away from some comedies. I liked a few Adam Sandler's, but nothing much. And like I said, I thought it was great. I love the little Jay doing the Wolverine Berserker thing. I love, like you said earlier, the Jedi mind trick thing. All the little things, because some of the stuff I could see some of my friends actually doing, like when they're at the one store with what's her face, Joey Adams, when he's like, I could have been a sexy chick. Brody puts panties over his regular shorts or pants. I know somebody who would do something like that.
Yep.
And again, like I said earlier, it's a relatable thing. That's why I think it resonates with me and you, is because we know people like that, or we know something. We would know that situation.
Well, the other cool thing about it is it's relatable, and talking about why, like, after I saw Mallrats, why I always came back to watch it, and why I always talk about, like, maybe making Mallrats too, and maybe a different version of Mallrats, because how malls and things have changed, how they've adapted. Maybe I thought it'd be funny if they did something different, but just because you would run into people you wouldn't normally see or hang out with, so like acquaintances or people from work or school or whoever it was, like you'd run into people at the mall. And
you didn't have Instagram and Snapchat saying at the mall. No, you didn't have that shit.
No.
You ran into your friends.
Yeah, that's how you knew people were there. I also I worked at the mall. I worked at 2 different jobs at the mall.
I'm so sorry.
No, it wasn't even that bad. It was just a simple fact that it was enjoyable because I ran into a lot of people at the mall. I met a lot of girls in the mall.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, at the mall, free food was was
the free samples.
No, free samples. I worked at the cookie store or whatever as a manager. If you can tell, my life sucked, but I worked there. All girls worked there with me, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So I was always trying to hit on these girls and do stuff, but also the girls around the mall that I always found attractive. Dude, the girls always wanted Diet Coke and like a cookie for lunch. Really weird, but that's what they ate when I always get them there. And I always gave it to them for free and said, "Hey, come back and see me and just ask for me. I'll hook you up." That led to conversation and me meeting them, and then before you know it, I got their number and hung out and hooked up or whatever. And I was like, dude, this was like the ultimate cool tool, badass thing. Yeah. But also going to the mall and seeing the same repetitive bullshit every day, it reminded me of the movie. So it's like you go there, you see the stuff, whatever. I wouldn't consider myself a mall rat. I wasn't at the mall every day like some people. That's I guess that's
where it came from. Yeah.
But overall, I liked being at the mall. Like there was something about it that was really exciting to me and fun. It was just simple. It was like being at
amusement park.
Yeah, it was like just a place to be. Yeah. There was always new clothes, new toys,
stores,
new video games, stuff, whatever. And obviously, when I was a younger kid, like that's what I was looking for. When I got older, it was more for women and friends and doing stuff. But like there was always something going on at the mall too.
Well, you and I grew up like perfect timing, where especially around here, we had Mid Rivers Mall, we had the Mills, I had Jamestown Mall, we had the Northwest Plaza. We had so many malls, and within a 20 mile radius of each other, that there was always something to do. Like I said, Northwest Plaza had Tilt, the fucking arcade, huge freaking arcade. Other ones had movie theaters we liked better because the seats were better, or something. There's always a mall that was different than the other ones, that something appealed to us differently than the other ones did.
That's a great point, and I didn't even think about that. But yeah, we had a lot of malls around us, and that was like the popular place to be. But like you said, like there's always a place, and there was always a big variety. Like you could go to different places that had different stores, but someone had the same. Like I always like going to Spencer's.
Yeah, I love Spencer's.
Yeah, Spencer's was always, and people that go to the malls or we're talking about. If you knew Spencer's, that was like one of the coolest stores to go to, and they were always really up on like what was in.
Yeah.
They had like you go to the back. And
their finger was perfectly on the pulse. Everything in the back that you had the blacklight stuff.
The posters. Yeah. You always go to that big poster thing and go through skim through the posters, which now like they don't even do that anymore with places. You know what I'm saying? Like there is no place to get posters. That's like the posters for your room. They'd also have some naughty stuff back there, like you know what I'm saying, handcuffs or whatever. But it was all like cheap stuff. It wasn't nothing like crazy or nothing.
Yeah,
it was
like gag gifts.
Perfect.
And cards and shit.
But that's where I always found South Park stuff. Obviously, you guys always know that I talk about in the podcast. I'm a huge South Park nerd. But like that was the only place that actually carried South Park shit in the mall that I could always find. They always had newer stuff. They must have had a deal with Comics.
This is pre-Hot Topic, by the way, too.
Pre-Hot Topic, that's correct.
Pre that shit.
But like your point, what you were saying earlier, it's like you went there and they always had great food at the food court. You know, nowadays maybe it's hit or miss, but like back then they had McDonald's and like all these great food. You had a variety of food.
McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King, Pizza Hut, Sbarro's.
Sbarro.
Oh God, I love them. I would eat some Sbarro's right now.
Just they had a great variety of stuff.
Yeah.
And then
something for everybody.
I think it was just the whole simple fact there was so much to do and there was always entertainment back then. And when you're a kid, it's the coolest thing because everything's always new. Like it's always like fun. Like when you get older, like I've been in the mall a million times. This is fucking stupid. Like you see the same shit different day. When you're a kid, everything's exciting. You get some money. You want to go buy some shit. Like there's just something about it that was always like gravitating and like exciting for me.
Yeah.
Like, I would get like endorphin rush. I would say like that or something like that off it. But overall, I miss going to the mall, man. Yeah. I mean that's why I like going to the mall during Christmas. It's probably the only time I actually like going to the mall because there's something about Christmas time that brings back some just Christmas vibes and window shopping stuff for me that I really enjoy in this.
Right. The good thing too with going to the malls is that sometimes your mom would say, "Okay, I'm gonna pick you up in 2 hours," where there's only so much you can do in 2 hours. So then you go back the next weekend and spend another couple hours there and try to finish what you started before, and or like again, or sometimes you just went to the mall just to go see a movie.
Right.
Because sometimes they had movies that the other theaters didn't have, or they even had cheaper movies, like back movies.
That was true. When we got older, the movies was a cool thing. You go there, you go shop, and see a movie, get some food, and go home wherever your mom and dad pick you up. Or that was a place to be on Friday or Saturday night because everybody would go up there and hang out, and their little cliques, like 7 girls would be hanging out, and then there's 7 guys, and you always be like seeing them around. You want to talk to them or whatever.
Right.
Just cool shit like that. But also think about it. Trying to think of some of the stores besides Spencer's. There's KB Toys.
KB Toys, yeah.
Was fucking huge when we were kids, and that was like a mall Toys R Us. They did have some video games and shit you could buy, but mostly it was mostly toys.
Yeah. I went to the Dolphin Mall in Miami, and they had a Mars music, which is fucking awesome.
I remember Mars
you could play anything and everything in that damn store.
Yep, I remember that.
I love that store.
What was the big place that we had when we were for music stores inside?
We had good question.
So I remember going in. I remember looking at CDs, and I remember looking. I don't remember there was.
A friend of mine posted about it the other day too. Oh shoot!
Well, it comes to mind. You can bring it up. They used to have Radio Shacks in the mall.
Yeah, Radio Shacks. Yeah.
That used to be an electronics store. There wasn't a Best Buy back then, so that's what you had to go to.
Some malls had what is that one? The one with the really high tech, cool toys. Really
expensive, really high tech.
Sharper image.
Sharper image.
You
remember that? What was another big store that when we were kids? What was it? I guess they always had a Payless and a Penny's.
Yeah, Payless, Penny's, Jay Dillard's famous bar. The mom and dad stores you didn't want to go into, but you had to walk through them to get to where you wanted to go.
That's correct, to get to the store. And you always knew the stores were coming up, and you're like, your mom, like, I know where each store is, so like your mom, like, all right, we'll go here and here and here, and then I'll bring you over to the toy store or whatever. Even if you didn't get to fucking buy anything, just going there and getting to browse and look was like exciting,
right?
Because you knew it was there, and then like you would go home and save money to come back to get something that you wanted. At least I always did. That's what I always did at Spencer's. Like when I see something in South Park, I was like, dude, I want that so bad. My mom's like, well, we don't have the money for that. We're not buying that. And it's like, if you do your chores, to take
Sam Goody was one of the CD stores.
Sam Goody, dude, that was what I was thinking of. Sam Goody, that was legit.
Tape World, I remember Tape World.
I don't remember Tape World. I don't think that was one with us.
That was before CD. Oh, another one, perfect. Camelot Music.
I do remember Camelot Music.
There was an evil castle looking thing. That's how I remember that one.
Yeah, Babbage's was around when we were kids, and there was another one that was kind of like a resell it shop that was next to Radio Shack at Mid River. So I don't know if it was Babbage's or something else that used to be back there, but it didn't matter. Like that was another you could buy used movies, DVDs, not DVDs. I'm sorry, CDs for music, and even toys and video games and stuff like that. So you can buy new and used.
Remember, I think they still have it was Claire's. That's where all the girls would get their ears pierced.
Yeah, they go to Claire's. Those are still there.
Yeah. My mom went to Glamour Shots one time. I don't know if you remember Glamour Shots. Glamour Shots was literally basically the 80s/early 90s way to get all dialed up, get your hair done, get your shirt, fashion. And
so so go back off the topic of.
It's not going.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so going back from what we're talking about, we'll go off the mall topic because obviously we can go down that rabbit hole forever talking about all that crap. So, I guess we'll venture from this movie into our next movie, which would be Chasing Amy, right?
Yep.
And I guess for people who haven't seen this movie, the premise of it is two guys are best friends who write and create comics. One is the actual creator, the other one traces. It's a joke at the beginning, but what ended up happening is in the movie, his best friend falls in love with a girl, and his friend gets upset about it. Obviously, the knock of the story is the girl is a lesbian, and he doesn't find out that she's a lesbian until
takes her on a date.
Yeah, until he takes her on a date. That's a good way to put it.
They're old high school buddies or college buddies too.
Yeah, and the two main characters, it's Banky and
Holden McNeil.
Holden McNeil.
No,
right.
no, Holden's the other character.
It's Holden and Holden Banky, right?
No, Holden was his character in Mallrats. What was his name? Obviously, it's Ben Affleck and Jason. God, I'm drawing a blank here, dude. Jason Lee.
Jason Lee. This is the first introduction.
Joey Adams is the girl.
And this is this second introduction to Jason Lee, but it's a different. He plays a different character.
And Affleck too.
Yeah.
They were both in Mallrats and further movies. God damn it, it's gonna bug the hell out of me until you find that.
No, you're fine. It's it's Holden and it's
Banky. Banky's right.
It's Holden.
That's right. It is Holden. Holden
yeah.
McNeil.
Yeah, Holden McNeil and Banky.
Yeah, that's right. He plays Shannon in Mallrats.
That's right. So, and obviously Ethan Suplee plays one of the fans in the movie. Or whatever. People didn't know that too. We forgot that at Mallrats, Ethan Suplee plays
Willem, who originally was played by Scott Mosier in Clerks.
Right.
Who's like 300 pounds more than Scott Mosier.
Yeah. So he plays that part in the movie. And he's just a side character in the movie, and he's in the Mallrats. He can't see the sailboat on one of those 3D images that was really big in the '90s. This was a Mallrats we're going back and referencing, and then Ethan Suplee in this one plays a super fan. So he recurs, comes into Kevin Smith movies. But going back to the premise of the story, Holden and Banky, they create their own comic books, but it's Blunt Man and Chronic, right? It's after Jay and Silent Bob.
The likenesses of Jay and Silent Bob, and like he said earlier. Holden McNeil falls in love with this girl that he's known since either college or high school. I can't remember, and he finds out she's a lesbian, and their little shenanigans back and forth, and what turns out to be that really that the hidden story is Banky's the one that falls in love with Holden, and Holden doesn't know it obviously because he's so blind. He's going for the girl, and like I said, they have he's trying to tell her that he loves her. He finds out something that happened to her in high school or college called the finger cuffs, which we won't talk about because with the audience we have in the room right now.
Right.
But and then and that's when they start falling apart, and he tries to get with her throughout the rest of the movie. And of course, Jay and Silent Bob are in this one too.
That's correct.
Bob gives him his Yoda advice again. Wise Yoda advice, like he did the other two movies.
Holden advice.
Yeah, exactly.
They sit down. I think they go out to lunch or breakfast or something, or
and
dinner.
They meet up with each other.
Yeah, they meet up with each other, and he gives them advice on dating and relationship, which is funny. And then he actually has his famous ball cap that says Snoogans on it, right? Or his what kind of cap is it?
Beanie.
A beanie cap. That's right. Yeah, it says Snoogans on it, and then Jay still talks like Jay or whatever. But then throughout the movie, you kind of see the progression of how Holden gets what was the character? Alyssa Jones. Yeah. Alyssa to kind of fall in love with him and not actually be a lesbian. The premise of the story, she gets really upset about him trying to change her, and this is who she is, and it's supposed to be the moral of the story is that she's this really loud, outspoken, fun girl that he has a lot in common with, and he can't believe that she's gay, and then falls in love with her. So
we've all been there.
We've all been there.
I've been there. I know that's for damn sure.
Need some help over there?
No, I was going the wrong way.
Long story short, with it though is it's a good movie. It's not in the same satire of all his other movies with Jason Amy, but overall, the thing I think that was funny of the whole movie to me is you come to find out that Jason Lee is gay, and he falls in love with Holden.
Ben Affleck.
So the thing I've never understood, because this is what doesn't make sense to me. During the show or the movie, the funny thing I thought about with Jason Lee was the part where he talks about like he has all these girlfriends, and he's sitting down with Alyssa when you finally meet her girlfriend after they go to the club when he thinks he's going on a date with her to hang out with Alyssa, Ben Affleck, Holden. Him and Banky go after hours and go out and hang out and have a couple of drinks with them at some other place. and they start sharing old stories of girls and guys they've been with or whatever. And Banky talks about all the girls he's been with and like his experience of like all the scars and stuff that's going on. So what didn't make sense to me, was he lying about that, or did he all of a sudden become? Is he bi or is he gay? Like people have always speculated on it. Is the guy actually gay or is he straight? Or
Well, that's what you got to think about, because you and I, when we were in high school, it was, you've seen guys go out with the girls and they talk about their sex stories, and then later on they turn gay or they become gay or how it works. I'm not trying to bash either way. It's to each his own. It's just it could be that he was so heartbroken from so many women that he started liking guys, and the guys gave him what he really wanted.
Either that, or he was just so in love with Holden that he had no idea, and they just all of a sudden became in love with him.
Or maybe he was talking about guys instead of girls. He just switched it. That's all. Or like 40-year-old virgin, he made up some shit. Her boobs felt like sandbags. Because he didn't know, so he just made something up.
That could be true too. So that was just a little side note. They still debate it now. That's something I'd like to ask Kevin Smith. Like, is his character bi? Is he gay?
Well, he is gay because, and remember in Jay and Bob Strike Back, he's with a black guy. The black guy that's in the movie. I forgot what his name was. So he's together with him.
That's true. I forgot about that.
And then even made a comment in when they're in the blunt cave with Will Ferrell. He makes that little comment saying there's a lot of love in this room. And they both kind of stare at each other's eyes and stuff like that. But Kevin Smith, for that was a big curveball to me, and kind of turned me off Kevin Smith for a little bit, because I'm like, oh great, he's going serious, or he can't do dick and fart jokes anymore, so he's going to make something serious, more serious movies, and that kind of made me kind of stray away from him until I heard about Dogma, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But I was just like, he did this movie. What happened to Clerks? What happened to Mallrats? What happened to playing hockey on the roof? And Jay and Bob talking about selling weed and stuff like that. No, this movie sucks.
Well, the other funny thing about it is you see Dante in the movie, but you don't see Randall. He don't make an appearance. But also, we forgot that Dante is one of the contestants on.
Dante is in every single Kevin Smith movie except that I know of for sure.
Brian O'Halloran.
Except for Red State and probably Tusk.
What's his name? Brian O'Halloran?
Yeah, O'Halloran.
Yeah, O'Halloran.
He's always got the last name Hicks. He's Dante Hicks, Gil Hicks, one of the news reporter in Dogma Hicks. Yep. And I forgot what he was in Amy and stuff like that. So yeah, he always has the same last name.
I didn't know that either, but that is funny. I always remember hearing Hicks, but I didn't know if it was always his character or not.
Yeah.
So in the movie, the one thing that always was cool to me about it was obviously a Blunt Man and Chronic, but it's like a nod to Kevin Smith also being a geek about comics. So like they have something like cool within the relation. And obviously, if you guys, we forgot to put in there too, the Ben Affleck is the bully in Mallrats. Yeah. Dating what's his name's ex-girlfriend or girlfriend at the time.
Brody, Jason Lee's ex-girlfriend, Shandori.
And now he's in this movie as one of the lead characters, which Ben Affleck wasn't a huge name back then.
Kevin pretty much broke Affleck into making bigger movies.
Yeah, put him on the map, I would say. Like out of all the people that came out of these movies, I think he's the most famous out of all of them. I mean, Kevin might be just famous.
Now he is, but still. Yeah. But Affleck is, he's the one that did the most work and got a recognition in other movies.
I'll be honest, I never watched Chasing Amy until
it was late for me too.
It was way after it came out. Like I remember hearing it come out, I just wasn't interested in it at all. And then, after this was Dogma that came out, and before we segue over to that, Chasing Amy to me, it was just like there's always this love story. You're chasing some girl you want to be with, and if you ever finally get with her, isn't she the magical one, or does it cause too many hiccups or headaches? And
can you deal with all the baggage that you didn't know about?
Correct. All the baggage you're dealing with. Also, like it does cause like a rift between you and your friends sometimes. Like it gets the girls get between your friends, and
again, a relatable story.
Very relatable. Like not just me in person, but it seems like a lot of times in more girls than guys. But I'm sure it's both ways. Girls would get jealous of guys when they get in a relationship. Or, I'm sorry, they would get jealous of their girlfriends, and they would want to bring their girlfriends back. Like, you never hang out with me. You always do this, blah, blah, blah.
That happens. It's like you said, both ways.
That happened to me twice with two different girls. The girls got really jealous. Like, we had like a good relationship, and before you know it, fucked everything up because of immaturity and just what it was. So, But I did think it was funny. Like, you can't be a real lesbian if you're dating a guy like in the movie or whatever. Like if she started dating Ben Affleck, and she's like, "Well, I'm venturing out, exploring my sexuality." That was kind of what the movie was about. Like, it was about gender fluidity,
making sure that's what you want to do. That's what it is.
Our sexual fluidity, I guess, whatever movie.
Yeah, that's what better heard.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of like the premise of the movie with her character arc and her story.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, dude. I like Alyssa Jones or whatever in the movie or whatever. I like her character, but she's not one of my favorite actresses by any means. Like, she does look good. Like, she looked good in Mallrats, and then
Doug, you saw her tits.
yeah. And
Joey Adams is her name,
and she also looked good in what's it called, Dazed and Confused or whatever. Yeah. But
Fresh was in it.
Yeah, and what's his name's in there too? T.S.
Yeah. So is Affleck's in that too.
Yeah, Affleck's in it too. It was just kind of funny. To me, I don't know. There's something about her. Just her voice is just super annoying.
Her voice has one of those.
It's cringy.
Not just cringy. It's like she smokes. You could tell because she's not like that. You know, it's kind of not raspy, but just deep like that. Where that when you hear voices like a woman's voice like that, you wonder how things are like when she's in bed. Oh God, do me! Oh, it's like I'm doing The Exorcist here, Our biggest fan is back.
Our biggest fan, Lincoln, is back. He wants me to beat number 1 Mario for him.
Number 2.
Or 2. No, number 1 Mario.
Oh, not number 1.
Yeah, not number 1. All right, I'll go beat number 1. All right.
You want to break and do it? Or?
I'll just do it 1 second. But yeah, going to that, we're trying to take a break. 1 second.
Yeah.
So going back. Sorry, we're back from the break. Talking about Chasing Amy.
Chasing Amy, Joey Adams.
Yeah, and Joey Adams. She was, good looking for the time or whatever, and she still is kind of good.
Yeah, she's still good.
Yeah, but you're right. Her voice sounds like an old lady or like a lady that has a smoker with like a voice box or something. To me, that's just the way I kind of looked at it. But overall, the movie was okay. Like, it wasn't my favorite Kevin Smith stuff, but it's not his worst by any means. There is worse. But to me, she's in their cornerstone of like the characters he always uses in the movies. Besides, she wasn't in Clerks. But it's funny, like when you're getting into his universe, they talk about something in Chasing Amy too about some like the characters. Like I think he says Tori Spelling or Tori something, like the girl from like Mallrats or something he got with like Jason Lee or one of the people they talk about. Like he name drops somebody at that when they're talking about who they've been with or slept with.
Shannon Doherty?
I can't remember. It was somebody
she was the one from Mallrats.
I can't remember. He just drops one of the names in there, and they talk about it. And I was like, oh, like it clicked a bell one time. I'm like, oh, that's the same person from this movie or whatever.
Yeah.
So like using some of the same names and references. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he's really good about that.
Yeah. But overall, it's not my favorite movie out of the universe, but it's one of those movies that they do have some funny stuff in there. The black guy's super funny in there for being like he's the gay guy in the movie or whatever. If anybody doesn't know, and they do talk about obviously. And there's Star Wars reference in there during that part, during the big hoax or not the hoax, but his big rant. But what is he actually even talking about? I mean, was that a part of like was he supposed to be a stand-up comedian or was he just doing like a rant at that?
I think he was doing a rant.
Okay.
Another thing we forgot to mention that in pretty much every single Kevin Smith movie, which not with going on with the hockey and the weed jugs stuff like that, is New Jersey. He's from New Jersey.
That's right, Jersey.
And he tries to incorporate something in that with Jersey all the time.
Jersey's always incorporated.
Yeah, every single time. I can't remember in Jersey. I think that's where Chasing Amy that was in. Of course, Red State was not though. Red State was everything Kevin Smith was opposite of basically.
Right, like the first time him actually venturing out.
Yeah,
trying something.
Just something. Yeah, trying something different. Yeah. Getting big name actors and stuff like that.
Yeah, but overall, I don't know. Chasing Amy was good for what it was, a rom-com. Mm-hmm. Maybe it wasn't even a rom-com. Maybe it was kind of...
I would say it would be a rom-com.
Yeah, but overall, not my favorite.
Yeah, it's on the bottom of my list, right after Tusk.
Mm-hmm. but I can watch it. I don't know.
I could watch it, but I wouldn't want to watch it for a while again because I'd be like, okay, yeah. the Clerks and Mallrats, stuff like that. I could watch that over and over again.
Right. So let's go to the next movie because I think Chase Namely doesn't really stand in Kevin Smith field. It's gonna be Dogma.
Dogma.
Okay.
I fucking love Dogma.
Dogma's probably one of my favorite movies he's made.
Yes,
and I think with fans besides Clerks and Mallrats, I think it's up there. I think it's probably in everybody's top 3 if you're a Kevin Smith fan.
You got big names in this one. You got Chris Rock, Alan Rickman.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot what the girl's name was, but apparently she was a bitch. Apparently.
Which one?
The lead woman.
Oh yeah.
She's a bitch to work with.
Yeah. Salma Hayek.
No, not Selma. The other one.
Okay. Oh yeah, the lead girl. That's whatever. I'm not a fan of hers either in the movie.
Yeah.
But
And no, I don't want to say her name because I really don't know it. But the premise of this one is a woman finds out that she has to take Jay and Silent Bob, who are prophets, across country to a church. By the way, is run by George Carlin, and basically she finds out she is the great granddaughter times more greats granddaughter of Jesus. So she has to help these prophets get to Jersey before the rogue angels of Loki and Bartleby, which is Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, before they destroy the world, basically. And of course, Jay and Silent Bob with their shenanigans, and they meet the 13th Apostles, Chris Rock, who plays Rufus. Oh yeah, I forgot the spoiler. They show God in this, and God is Alanis Morissette.
Yep.
Which I thought was funny as hell.
Also, I think you forgot, if maybe you did mention it. She is like the last scion. The last scion of God. Did you mention that?
No, I said he's great, whatever of Jesus. And that's the premise. They try to get to Jersey and try to stop the rogue angels, because if the rogue angels make it to heaven or make it to basically if their sins are forgiven by going to a church, then the world can end, and like apocalyptic kind of deal thing. I thought the movie myself was funny as hell. Jay and Bob top notch in it. They have more of a lead role in this. Well, Jay does mostly, obviously, but I thought it was pretty good. It's in one of my top 4 of Kevin Smith's movies, and Carlin was in it. Carlin playing a priest was funnier than shit, because that's something you'd never see him would do.
Yeah, I like that George Carlin was in it, because honestly, before this, I didn't even know who the fuck George Carlin was when it was
really.
Oh
shit.
Well, I wasn't. I was a kid.
Yeah,
still. I wasn't really big into stand-up comedy then either. I only knew like certain names and like household names of people like Robin Williams and like Eddie Murphy and stuff. But I didn't know.
You're forgiven.
Huh?
It's all right. You're forgiven.
Yeah, but after I watched this, like George Carlin's awesome. You know. Yeah. But the movie to me was, dude, it was just so good. And I remember, and like I always bring this up to you. I always remember watching the news and people.
Stop.
Were banning people from going to the actual movie theaters. They wanted to ban this movie because, well, the movie overall
sacrilegious.
Yeah, sacrilegious, or like it was like blasted me towards God or something like that in religion and stuff like, because it like hurt Christianity and
in the late '90s, early 2000s, that's what people were doing. All these church gods, people were going to movies and plays and even Hollywood just to show up to be assholes and try to protest and stop these certain movies being made, or stop this actor or whatever, whatever shit's going on that whatever pissed them off, they would try to take it out and picket and protest everything. Gay funerals, anything that they didn't like or pissed them off, they would bitch about it.
Right.
That's going on later on. We'll talk about it. That's what triggered Red State, because that's a lot has to do with the Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah. And a funny side note that I found out from my cousin Tim and just from reading stuff on the internet is Kevin Smith and
Kevin.
Jamie Hughes, they actually protested with the Christian people outside. For the movie.
Kevin and somebody else. I don't forget who it was.
Maybe it wasn't Jay.
They good.
They protested outside the movie, and people didn't even know who the fuck they were.
Yeah.
That's why it was comical.
They would hold up signs that say, "God likes fads," not the other word I'm going to say. It's FADS.
Fads.
Or even stuff about Thor on there. He would put comic book reference signs and hold those up as his picket sign.
And people probably went along with it, like, and they thought he was
No,
part
they
of,
didn't. They weren't paying attention. You know, they didn't see the signs at first.
They didn't think he was part of the cause.
No, and then a news team showed up and asked him, what are you doing here? Why are you picketing? And they actually went to Kevin and his whoever he went with instead of the other Westboro people. Like they didn't even know it was him.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's great. I was like, when I heard that, I'm like, this is gonna help that movie skyrocket, and apparently it did.
It did.
So
I just remember it's a scene on the news. I thought that was funny. A movie making moves, and then people are trying to boycott. And actually, a lot of theaters actually did take Dogma out of the movie theater because they're worried about PR hitting and losing money over it.
I actually got tickets not opening weekend, but like the first week or so. I had to go get a refund because whatever theater I was at, they canceled it.
Oh.
I had to go back. I'm like, really? What's a freaking movie? Who gives a fuck? And then, like, it has to do with religion.
Well, the other funny thing about this is like, this is one of the hardest DVDs to find of all the copies of all these movies. For some reason, it's like the holy grail of Kevin Smith movies. You can find the Dogma DVD. And I found one the other day that was like in perfect condition, but dude, it's astronomical how much money people want you to spend.
But guess who does have it? This guy.
Yeah, you got it.
Yes, I do. I have almost all 2 discs of all his movies except for Mallrats. He never, as far as I know, he didn't do a 2-disc one. But it's cool. I like it because it looks like a Bible. It's a double case with a Bible.
Yep.
Inside is like, what do you call it? Protesting signs and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
So going into the movie a little bit, I one part that always sticks out to me in the beginning is when Alan Rickman comes, talks to the girl, tells her that he's the voice of God, and that she has to go on this mission, and he'll have 2 disciples or apostles or something come by her side to help protect her, and it's Jay and Silent Bob. And they protect them against the 3 guys that are sent from Jason Lee's character, who depicts a devil or I guess a demon from hell, and his little minions or people he fights with are 3 guys that play hockey with the hockey sticks, and that's how he kills people. So thought that was cool. Little nod to hockey in the movie, and Jay and Silent Bob show up and protect her and actually kick the shit out of those guys.
The Prophets.
That's what it was. And then from there on, they're on a venture to go and stop Barnaby and what was their character's name for
Loki
from getting back into heaven, so they can re-enter the church through that door or the thing that they made for the church. So it's a cool movie, and obviously I can see why people would get upset if they're very religious, but it's just like anything else. It's supposed to be comical. It's not supposed to be real. It's like
satire, man.
It's satire for sure. It's comical satire, and if Chris Rock was a part of it, obviously there's a lot of comedians in it. You got Chris Rock and George Carlin, which was awesome.
Carlin, especially, everybody knows he's a comedian.
And he's political,
everything he says, very, very political.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he fit that part perfectly. Chris Rock kind of was at the time, but not too much. But still,
he was a big comic at that time.
Yeah,
huge. I mean,
exactly.
I knew Chris Rock was in the movie, but like I said, I didn't know George Carlin, so shame on me. But overall, like the movie, it was a well thought put together movie. I think it's the first movie too. They introduced movies into it with Kevin Smith's little saga. And if you guys don't know, movies is a pop up type
fast food restaurant.
But he has pop up ones.
Yeah, it's basically a fake franchise that he came up with to further the story and then use it later on in other movies.
Yeah, because he wasn't using like McDonald's or anything.
Yeah,
else.
nobody would let endorse him because of who he was.
Mm-hmm. So he made up movies, and now it's like it's a huge thing with him. People love movies, and he actually sells this kind of stuff to people. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then from actually going to the actual pop-up thing where they actually meet and talk to, Chris Rock falls out of the sky. Don't they go from there to? Don't they run into Salma Hayek at the strip club?
They run into Salma Hayek at the strip club, and Ethan Suplee played the shit demon in that part.
That's right, he plays the shit demon.
Yeah. By the way, if you are a Salma Hayek fan or just Jay and Silent Bob, check out that part.
Yeah, that's a good part.
Selma looks goddamn good.
Yeah, she does. And she's probably in her 30s.
No, she was 40s, dude.
40?
Yeah, she's getting old.
Okay.
And then,
okay, I thought she was in her 30s.
Oh,
that's
fine. Hey, dude.
Yeah. Well, power of Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. But that part was funny too in that strip club. And they fight, like you said, they're fighting off a shit demon later on.
And they also become friends with like a bunch of gangsters.
Yeah. The guys. I don't want to spoil the part for the people, but they're funny as hell with that. The gangsters.
Yeah. So going from there, I mean, I guess we're just pretty much selling the whole movie. We're going from here, but
no, we could just skip ahead and then we could talk about other things with it.
Well, either way, the movie it stuck and resonated with me because I've always grew up in a family with religion, and you know, it's not like I hate it or anything by any means, but I think there is some people out there who kind of go extreme with it, and it's like you can still have some fun with it, and you know, just like anybody, you can make fun of people's race and their gender or anything else that's relatable to people, their culture or whatever else, and makes funny jokes. It's like this is all that was. This was like. Christian satire or comical satire for people, and it's like I thought it was funny because there was some shit that stuck with me and resonated. Was like, oh, that's funny. I get that from seeing from that kind of stuff.
And Kevin even mentions it at the very beginning of Dogma, right before you play the DVD or whatever, when you play the movie. He says something like, you know, not sorry kind of thing. And he grew up in a really strict Catholic family too. So, you know, it's just his take on it. That's what people don't get that. Nowadays they do it, but they don't like it. Back then, it's if you had a take on something that most people didn't talk about or made fun of, then, you know, you're the devil, apparently. Like George Carlin, people hated George Carlin because he was so political, but he made sense and he made people laugh.
Well, something that's relatable with that, you know, George Carlin, I found this out watching a documentary on, he didn't even grow up a fan with a lot of politics.
Yeah.
He didn't even discuss politics. He just kind of just grew on him.
Resonated on him, yeah.
Yeah, and he just started making jokes out of it, and I've come to find out, he didn't even write out his jokes. He would write like clip notes of things, and he would just ad lib, and people are like,
"That's fucking amazing."
Yeah, like you're this fucking good on stage, and you can just ad lib and come up with stuff. Not saying he probably didn't create and write content down, but a lot of times it was off the cuff. A lot of stuff.
Robin Williams is a perfect example too. You know, that's what's great about the old '80s and '70s comedians. They just if you said something to them, you got them going. You know, it's kind of like their wit is so witty. It's so witty and fast. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That they could just come up with shit off the top of their head.
The funny thing with Carlin too, and then we can go back to the topic, was when he went on stage and talked about politics stuff. Doesn't matter if you're left, right, middle, whoever. A lot of it still stands true to today. Stuff from the early '90s when he was really popular, whatever. Till like now, I wish the guy was still alive, not dead, because all the shit he says, like garbage in, garbage out, and just like quotable things like that about politics. It's true. It's all true. And he's not even speaking from experience. He's just speaking from the experience of what he's seen through his eyes or whatever. And it's like he wasn't even in politics. And sometimes that's that's why people like with him or they can relate to him, is because he's speaking from every side. It's not just he's speaking from the left or right and how polarizing everything is. He's speaking what everybody really is thinking from either side. You know, just you're not a cheerleader. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. Whatever. Right. He made fun of them both. There was no fucking, you know, safe space for any of these people. He just fucking hated on all of them, that's what I always enjoyed about him. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the comedy I like, where everybody's in trouble. That's how I am. I make fun of everybody and anything, and I don't give a shit. Well, that's how comedy should be.
Exactly. It's comedy. It's funny. May not be funny to you, but I'll find somebody who will find it funny.
We've talked about it before. Comedy is subjective to people. Some people find things very offensive and funny, and some people don't. But at the end of the day, it's supposed to be subjective. It's not everybody's supposed to find it funny. Some people are supposed to find it offensive, but then the next joke or something that comes in line is supposed to be funny. Yeah, just people take life too seriously. That's what it is. Just calm the fuck down, you know? Have a shot and smell the roses. Exactly.
All right, go back to Dogma.
Yeah, so back to Dogma.
Basically, like you said, they make Trek try to get to Jersey, so Bartleby and Loki don't make it inside a church. If they do, the world destroys the world, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah. That's pretty much the premise of the story. The funny parts that we stood out, we kind of just touched on. There is some other funny parts in the movie, but I don't want to ruin the whole movie for anybody reading it. But like, is there any other like things you got from this movie that he was trying to make a point about, or is it just more just satire that was?
It was all satire. You know, Jay and Bob, you know, they weren't selling weed again, but they did have some weed references and stuff like that. And
then this was actually the first big movie with Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, that's saying what you were in the other room. Yeah. I was saying that, you know, they had lead roles, more Jay than Bob, but this is one of their lead roles.
Their lead character is pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah, and there was references to Kevin's friends or people in other movies, like when they're at movies. Rufus is trying to explain to the woman, I forget what her name was, to the last Scion, basically saying like she's like, you don't know nothing about me. He's like, oh yeah, I know that in third grade, whatever, you pissed in some boy's hand. His name was Brian Johnson, and Brian Johnson's one of Kevin's best friends. He's the big guy with the tall beard who does the Tell Him Steve Dave, and he was Steve Dave in the other movies, which go back to the askew universe with Walt and him. So stuff like that. I like Kevin that like he gives nods to his friends.
His name was Brian Johnson.
Exactly.
I've never told him about that story.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I know a guy named Brian Johnson, but I found out later that was actually one of his friends. I'm like, oh shit, I wonder if I really did piss in his hand or not.
Yeah. Everybody knows that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, does everybody know that when you jerk off, you think about guys and you like it?
You jerk off 3 times a day. Okay, and?
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that. When you do, you think about guys.
And you like it.
Only sometimes.
Yeah.
Paul walks away.
Yeah.
That's why I like to the little gay jokes here and then that they do.
To me, that would be like the part in South Park, like, dude. Like,
exactly.
Like to me, that's like a dude reference part right there.
Yes, exactly.
Not all the time.
Right. Moving on to, you want to do Jay and Bob Strike Back?
Yeah, we can move on to James. Right. So that would be the next movie in the lineup.
They call it Jay's Giant Bob Strike Back. It's a little nod to Star Wars because Empire Strikes Back was the 5th movie. So was Jay and Bob Strike Back. Premise is Jay and Bob are trying to get to Hollywood because there's a movie being made about them that they had no idea that they were going to have a movie. And they also want to get after go bring back Banky and Holden because they were they want to sue them for likeness rights.
Yeah.
Because they drew their Blunt Man Chronic comic without them knowing about it or getting any kind of monetary compensation for that.
That's true. So the movie to me, great story.
I fucking love this. I love it.
Like
so many actors in that, like
so many good
cameos.
Actors. And just for people that don't know, like what Tim was talking about, Holden and McNeil and Banky from Chasing Amy. They actually split up as friends, but they were writing Blunt Man and Chronic before this, and then they got movie rights for it. And Jay and Bob didn't know nothing about it, and they got told about it, and they get pissed off, and they're trying to hunt down how they're not getting paid rights for it.
They wanted to destroy the movie, like they wanted to destroy the stage in
Correct.
Mallrats.
And then they also find out people on the internet are pissed off and hate them. They want to beat the shit out of these kids.
Right, exactly, like everybody else wants to. And you have, like you said, you have star-studded cast. You have Carrie Fisher's in there from Star Wars. Sean William Scott was in it from American Pie. Of course, Chris Rock again. Shannon Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Kevin's wife's in it.
Yeah,
The first appearance of his wife.
The Asian girl, right?
No, she's not Asian. She's white.
Which one is she?
She was one of the girl. One
the
of
blonde?
the Chrissy, Sissy, Missy. Not the blonde, the other one.
Oh yeah, okay.
The blonde was Hallie Larder or something,
right.
or something like that.
Right.
She was in a couple of random movies.
His wife was one of the 3 girls. Remember?
Yeah. Basically, they try to get across, like you said, across to Hollywood. They also run into who else is in this? Help me out here. Wes Craven. You know, we talked about earlier. Jay and Bob are also in other people's movies, cameos. Since they were in Scream 3, Wes Craven was in this one. Shannon Doherty came back as the girl from the Scream movies. Jason Biggs, of course, Ben Affleck, of course.
I think we named pretty much all of them.
Sean William, no, the other dude, Dawson's Crack. James Vanderbeek, Diedrich Bader.
You said Matt Damon, didn't you?
Yes. No, I didn't say that. Matt Damon's in there for a second. Apple's Hoss, bitch. Yeah, there's a lot of cameos in this movie, which I thought was great because that's what you got to do. You know, that way you show a different side of your movies is saying, hey, I'm not just famous, but I have famous friends.
That's true.
And you know, it's good because a lot of these people, you know, sometimes they're just there for like a cameo, and it's just like, oh my god, they're friends with him. Oh, I'm forgetting one of the biggest ones, fucking Mark Hamill.
Oh yeah, Mark Hamill's in it.
Goddamn.
Yeah, that's at the end though.
Yeah, it's towards the end, but it's just I love how they introduced him too, because I didn't fucking recognize him.
Dude, for a long time, Mark Hamill wouldn't do anything Star Wars, so like it was funny that he would do like a parody about Star Wars.
It's funny too that they do the parody with him because you know, Carrie Fisher, she was the nun. It's in her contract that nobody can mention anything about Star Wars, or she has the right to walk off set. That's in all her contracts for the movies.
Really? Really?
No Star Wars references whatsoever, unless she says so.
For Carrie Fisher.
For Carrie Fisher.
Because I think she gets sick of being known as the person that played Star Wars.
The woman in the bikini looking thing. Yeah, she didn't want to be known just for that.
Yeah,
There's so many other movies she was in, but yet she went back to Star Wars.
Back to the old typecast.
Exactly, and then went back to playing in Star Wars.
Yeah. So
anyway,
this movie when I was a kid, I saw it. Again, it was funny.
I saw it opening night. It was fucking great. We gave him a standing ovation in the movie theater.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was just a really well made movie. It's like what else was going on with without giving away too much. If you watched it in the movie, is this the one with the monkey reference?
Yeah. Yes, they have the monkey. They're taking the monkey across country.
What was it in the movie that had the monkey reference?
That was Mallrats. At the end of Mallrats, they pulled one of the old '80s things where they continue people's stories, saying like Banky. Well, not Banky. At the time, he was Brody. He was host of the Tonight Show. Shannon Doherty was the drummer in the Tonight Show. And then Jay and Silent Bob had a monkey named Suzanne that they were just walking down the street.
This
and it
will
says,
be another story told.
Yeah, it says something. Yeah, that's a story for another time, kind of thing. So they continued the story with Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
That's right. Okay.
They try to get as basically Jay falls in love with a jewel thief who lies and said that she is an animal advocate. So they let free all these monkeys from this one laboratory while Shannon Doherty and all the girls steal diamonds across the street or whatever, and then they end up stealing a monkey and taking it across country. Will Ferrell is the what do you call it? The monkey wrangler, basically.
That's right,
he's chasing them across country. Judd Nelson's in it too. Goddamn, keep forgetting that one.
I keep forgetting there's so many people.
I know. Every time I'm thinking of the movie through my head right now.
I just remember seeing this movie with my friends, laughed my ass off about it, and then it was like my first time that I was like really starting to really fall in love with Jay and Silent Bob because the other movies. Not saying I didn't have a thing for them, but it was like they became more mainstream to me.
Yeah, they were funnier. They were the lead basically. They took the reins of the movie. If you didn't have Jay and Silent Bob in this movie, then it would have been shit. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it wouldn't be the same movie. But that's I think one of the top three, or top two, top three-ish.
Kevin Smith
movies. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just good. It was a well-made movie. I mean, they did talk about smoking weed like they always do in the movie. Obviously, Blunt Man and Chronic are the premise of it. I mean, probably my favorite part of the movie is when they go, "What the fuck is the internet?" When they talk, when they meet Holden.
The internet is a place where people show porn.
Yeah, and he tells them, "There's people in here actually like making fun of you guys or shit on the internet." He's like, "What the fuck is the internet or whatever?" But he's there finding out that they're not getting their share of the movie, right? So like that part to me always resonates really funny in the movie, and
I like the part when they're at movies.
They do go to movies again. I was gonna say that again.
When he sees the girls just getting out of the van stretching, and I just filled the cup.
He has filled the cup, and
he's
he's daydreaming.
Yeah, he's daydreaming, making out
like,
with her and stuff like that, trying to grab her tits,
and
she pulls his hand away and stuff
Bob
like that.
puts the cup on his dick or whatever. Twists it on here.
Little tidbit, I don't know if you know, the guy towards the end that was with when Chris Rock was directing the movie, he says, Jamie Kennedy's in it too. I forgot about that. The Indian-looking guy, that's Shannon Doherty's boyfriend. He's in every movie she's in so he can watch her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You see him in American Pie. He's a random character here. All three of them, or two of them, whatever it was. Yeah. Any movie she's in, he's in, or was in. I'm not sure they still is or not.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a little Easter egg.
That's what I'm here for.
Your 2 seconds of Easter eggs.
That's what we should have another podcast. Call that 2 seconds of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And just randomly read off Easter eggs.
Anyway, I'm good doing that.
If you've ever, there's actually a guy that they took it down from YouTube, but on the double DVD, they have all the extra scenes that they cut out of the movie. Some guy actually spliced them all together and make it one it was like 2.5, 3 hour movie.
Really?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, even if it was just little parts here and there, but they still produced them. They just cut them out.
Yeah.
So you can so we put them all together, and it's like pretty funny.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Exactly.
So yeah, James Silent Bob Strike Back he probably is one of the top 3 best movies he's made. You know, if you're an Ultra fan and super fan, honestly, like even just the Funkos and stuff, I want the Strike Back Funkos. I'm trying to get, dude. They're so hard to find now.
I bet.
Because they're vaulted and stuff.
Now they're getting new ones.
So after this movie, it came out. What was the next one that came out?
Was it Red State? I don't remember.
I don't think it was Red State. I thought it was. Was it Red State or was it? What was it? Was it Clerks 2?
No, Clerks 2. Red State was first.
Was it?
Before that. Why is baby crying?
Lincoln's crying. He's going nuts.
Because he can't beat the game?
I don't know what he's doing. Probably because he wants us to go play with him.
Well, just wait. Just a little bit.
So yeah, I think it might be Red State. Honestly, this movie's okay to me, but you know, if this is the next movie that's in line, I thought it was Clerks 2, but maybe I was wrong. We'll just start talking about it. We'll just call it Red State.
I think it is. Hold on.
No, you don't tell me. Hold on. You hold on.
You hold on. Why are they showing all the other ones? Jesus Christ. Red State's not even on the list.
Probably because it violated some terms of service or something.
Or this is it. Oh. Anyway, Red State. It was basically the premise was a couple kids high school kids trying to get laid, and they end up getting caught by a religious group, kind of like the Westboro Baptist Church, and they will be cleansed of their sins, so to say, in their own way. And that Westboro Baptist Church was a church that basically, like we were saying earlier, that went against anything you did wrong, anything they thought you did wrong. They were out there picketing. They had, if there was a gay funeral or a gay wedding, or even one of the guys from Slayer who got killed or died. Not killed. How am I saying? Who died? They even tried to picket his funeral. That was kind of fun with all those metalheads. They were good at it. Everybody behaved.
Yep.
But you know, whatever they didn't like, that's what, and they picketed your stuff.
I thought it was the movie was just weird to me. Like, it wasn't like a terrible movie, but it was just a weird for Kevin Smith movie. But also, same time, it kind of like showed like how crazy cults can be.
Yeah.
With like churches and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like in these small organized groups of like these small towns and stuff.
Gangs aren't the only problem. It's the church.
Yeah, you can have churches where people follow cultists and like these weird beliefs, and like they don't know any better because they're growing up in an environment that's all they know.
Yeah.
Right, and then they capture the premise story. They captures these kids for
trying to pick up women.
Trying to pick up women and they think that it's like the mark of the devil or the beast for them doing this, and they're going to sacrifice. Yeah, they're going to they're going to sacrifice them for God's good. Pretty much is the way I kind of like. I guess I don't know. Like that's gonna say the movie, but there's not really any big Kevin Smith characters in this realm because it has nothing to do with like his universe. In my opinion, it's like his first one-off movie. They tried something outside of the Kevin Smith realm to see if it worked, and to me, it was okay. It wasn't the worst. There's definitely worse films out there, but it wasn't my favorite of Kevin Smith's work by any means.
Yeah.
You know,
I thought it was good. It had John Goodman in it. It was I forgot what the lead character, Michael something, was in it. He was in a few of Kevin's movies, like Tusk and some other one. But yeah, like you're saying, they were this psychotic church group decided they want to turn into a militia kind of thing and cleanse the wicked.
Cleanse the wicked. That's great.
When we were talking earlier about the Kevin Smith is outside picketing with them because people complain about doing me. I found some pictures. I'm going to read the signs that were on there that they were holding up to mess with people. Polyester is sin, Leviticus 19:19, which is kind of cool. Thor hates straights. Dick tastes yummy. Muse fucks like a god. God thinks Megan's hot. I don't know who that is. Surely you can't be serious. God hates fat, and so does Southwest Airlines, which is kind of funny because Kevin couldn't get a ride on Southwest Airlines because he was too fat. They told him to buy 2 seats.
Really?
Yeah, so he was making fun of them. That's pretty much all of them.
Okay.
But yeah, highly recommend anybody who's not. I'm not saying anybody who's anti-religious, but if you want to see something that's very interesting, that's out of Kevin's wheelhouse, this is the movie. Like I said, it's got John Goodman, Kevin Pollak, a bunch of other good people in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I thought I would hate this movie, but no, I fucking enjoyed it.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I thought it was okay. I just put it. That's just my opinion.
But just I'm just so anti-religion. That's why I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Just me. But you know, it's something to see. You know,
It's something different.
it's not a bucket list movie.
Yeah.
But it's just if you want, it's, like you said, different side of Kevin that's not in his universe.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say go see it.
Yeah, I would say it's a movie to see. It's not like some terrible movie or nothing, but I mean, I've just meant like it's not in the Kevin Smith universe.
You like the View Askew universe, not the. View.
I like how everything ties in together. I don't mind that he does one-off movie or nothing, but it's not my favorite work he's ever done. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't hate the movie.
Right.
But I didn't. You know, it's not like I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see it. I've seen it one time, and it's like I don't need to see it again. You know, it was a one-time thing for me. There's a lot of movies like that with me. It's like I want to see it once, and like
I don't need to see it again.
Exactly.
Unless one day just wild hair up your ass, like, why not?
Or if it's on TV, I might put it on. You know, if I
Yeah.
saw it, it's not going to go on my way probably to watch it. That's the way I look at it.
Right. There you go. But there's not too many Easter eggs with this one. There's just, just like I said, random good actors, like you said, John Goodman. No Jay and Bob in this one. No Dante or anybody else.
Which is fine. You know, it was a standalone movie.
Yeah.
You know?
I couldn't see. I think if he added those people in this kind of movie,
it wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked, and it would have probably ruined them.
Yeah.
Because you see people like Jay and see how he is. I can't see him being serious.
I don't think he would have been.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I think he was in rehab at the time anyway.
Probably. Yeah, he was.
Moving on, you want Zach and Miri? You seen that?
Not in a long time. So
okay. I don't remember a lot of it either, but basically we would, from what you probably remember,
they had to make money from.
Yeah, these two people who were like high school friends, best friends, male and female, that they don't have money, so they try to make a porno to sell to make ends meet, so to say. I don't want to spoil it, but it's what is it? Not Seth Rogen. Is that Seth Rogen?
Yep.
Amy Smart.
Yep.
Jay's in it, of course.
They also
Justin Long.
Yeah, Justin Long is in it. Also, the thing about it, isn't it? Don't they have a kid together? Is that why they're doing it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
They're just broke and they live together.
Yeah, they're broke. It's the dead of winter and their heat's out.
That's
kind
right.
of thing. So they somehow they scrounge up money and they get together a film crew together and stuff like that to make a movie.
That's right.
You know, I like the movie. Jeff Andrews makes a little appearance in it, and he's on Seth Rogen's hockey team. His first time he's been in a Kevin Smith movie in a long time. Like I said, Justin Long's in it. It was okay. I don't think it was his best work. I think it was one of those rushed movies, but it's also a rom-com.
I think it was one of those quick flip movies. Like it was supposed to be like rom-com, but also was like
have big names in it, so make it look good.
Make it look good. It was supposed to be like a quick cash grab or whatever, and it was supposed to be like get Seth Rogen in and something to make it funny. But besides that, it wasn't. It was a memorable movie for me. Again, it's like a movie I saw probably once, and I was like, it was okay.
I couldn't tell you maybe 3 jokes in the whole movie.
I can't either.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Seth Rogen. I think he's terrible.
Yeah.
I think there's been like one movie I've actually liked him in, but he's another guy that plays the stoner, but I don't think he plays the stoner the right stoner way.
He's playing himself, and that's what's not. People don't want that.
No, and honestly, he's just.
I liked him in 40-Year-Old Virgin, but nothing else.
I just think he's an overrated actor. I think he was another person they put in every type of comedy, funny film at the time to fill that void of the funny white stoner.
Like Jonah Hill?
Like Jonah Hill or whatever. I like Jonah Hill. I think he's actually
he's all right. He's all right.
I think he's pretty...
I wanted to punch him in Wolf of Wall Street. Just the way he acted.
I love Wolf of Wall Street.
I love that movie, yeah, but I just wanted to punch him.
But you know what the difference is? He's more of a well-versed actor. He can play different roles in different movies.
Yeah.
He's not typecasted just to playing one role.
Right.
Like Seth Rogen is, you know.
Right, pretty much.
And apparently, are they brothers in real life?
I don't know what they really are. Are they cousins or something? They look very close.
Or something.
Yeah, they look like it.
But yeah, fuck Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
So, moving on from that movie, is it...
You've never seen Tusk, so we can't talk about that one.
We're not going to talk about Tusk. It's Clerks 2 is the next movie.
Clerks 2, yeah. Clerks 2, yeah. You want to take this one?
Yeah, we'll take Clerks 2. So Clerks 2 obviously leads off from Clerks 1. they come in at the beginning of the movie. They come in and the quick stop is on fire because someone left the coffee pot on from the night before, which I think it was Randall because he was fucking some lady in the after hours in the clerk shop because he had nowhere else to go because he can't go to his house because he lives with his mom.
Wait. Let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
And wait, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. So they show up and it's burning down and they're like, oh well, this sucks. Pretty much is what they say.
So they're jobless.
Because they're jobless, and they end up getting a job. At
where?
Movies. So they both work at movies, and they introduce a new character, which is Elias, which is
very religious nerd.
And
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, nerd. Lord of the Rings. And Randall is
find somebody new to pick on.
Is his new person to pick on instead of just Dante, and he just shits all over this guy the entire movie. I don't want to crack every joke or whatever in there. We'll talk about some of it, but
Mr. Dante.
Yeah, Mr. Dante.
Randall, leave Elias alone. Don't look at his wee wee.
He's just he's like the bitch of the movie. Like,
he's the punching bag.
He is the punching bag, and honestly, he fits it perfectly. And he plays it perfectly.
Oh god, yeah, the guy who played Elias. I mean, I haven't seen him in anything else. I know he's in the new one, but he fit that part. He that's another relatable thing for me. Working at fast food as long as I did is we had somebody we could pick on all the damn time. And seeing Elias, it brought back so many memories for me. Like, dude, I know that kid.
Yeah, exactly. But the premise of the story is they get a job at movies, and Dante's marrying his new girlfriend. That
is Kevin Smith's wife.
It's Kevin Smith's wife, and she's super annoying in the movie.
She has a big clit.
Big clit. And Randall lets everybody know. And then obviously the manager of the movie is
Rosario Dawson,
who's an amazing actress. And she's fucking great, and she's hot. And she actually plays now in
Clerks 3.
Well, plays in Clerks 3, but she also plays in Mandalorian, which is kind of part of the Star Wars universe, which is kind of cool. People like, did Kevin Smith know she was going to play in like this? Is like, no, I think that was after the fact, but it's cool that she ties into Star Wars type of thing now.
She's been in a couple of Rob Zombie movies too.
She's a cool chick. You can just tell she's really down to earth, whatever. But in the movie, so she's the manager of both Dante and Randall and Elias, and throughout the movie, it's just like a Clerks where they live a life of
the day in the life. It's Dante's last day of work.
Yeah, Dante's last day of work, and it's like the life of someone who works in fast food and dealing with the public and what they have to deal with, and it really depicts what I would think you come in and deal with the public. You get some good people and you get some asshole customers, and you get some people you just want to fucking like spit in their food or whatever.
That or even you have a conversation with your coworkers and the customer you don't want the customer to hear it, but they did anyway. And
then they chime in.
Yeah, we don't want to say the part because we can't say that word.
No, but I think my favorite the thing that resonates with me the most in the movie, and we can talk about this because obviously Jason Lee plays in the movie as this annoying guy that comes in.
Pickle fucker.
Which has a great backstory, but we're not going to talk about this story right now. We'll let you guys watch it.
Use your imagination.
Yeah. It was initiation.
Yeah.
When he comes in, he's a very successful millionaire that made some type of .com search thing that searches for people or does something. What's it search
like
for?
A Google kind of thing.
Like a Google type thing. That's right. And he comes in and he gives Randall and Dante shit for being 30 and still working. Yeah. Clerks, still working at like a kid's job. Is pretty much what he was saying. He's like, I thought you guys had grown up and moved on by now, but obviously you guys are still doing kids' jobs. Right. And they get pissed off, and he's like, he orders a cow tipper or a movie something. I can't remember what he calls it. And Randall's like, oh, I'll get that for you real quick, and pulls flies off the fly trap, and gets ice out of the urinal, and stuff for him. So, like, a disgruntled person that comes in and gives him shit, and it's like, that probably does really happen with people. Like, you're working there, and people are like, oh, you're 30, and you're still working at McDonald's, or whatever, and, like, and gives him shit. And that's kind of like part of the premise, too, of the movie, is Dante is just sick of being an underachiever working at 30 years old, about to get married, and his girlfriend doesn't care that he works there, but she comes from a family who's loaded. Right,
so they're going to move to Florida. They're giving him a house so that he doesn't have to work anymore.
Right, so like he's marrying the money, and Randall thinks that he's just marrying her for the money and not really for like what he really wants to marry for, his lifestyle. So that's kind of like the premise of the movie, but there's so many good jokes, and obviously Jane and Silent Bob are in the movie. They follow them from the best part is they follow Dante and Randall from Clerks down the street, down the movies, and start selling drugs in front of the movies, which is great. And then there's a little good shout out where he dances naked at the beginning. Jay does.
Goodbye horses.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that part of the movie, that's a very
that part caught me off guard. When I saw that, I'm like, okay.
yeah. But yeah, then what we didn't say is Dante ends up falling in love with his manager. He's in love with her as well.
He's had sex with her. They've had prior relationship things. So maybe it's just sex, or maybe I don't remember.
Probably.
But they were together before.
Yeah,
and he's starting to have feelings for her.
So now he's in another love triangle, which is Dante's thing. He obviously can't figure out who he wants to be with and what reason why he wants to be with who. So that's kind of like the premise of the story too. And Randall's in his ear the whole time, giving him shit about everything, which is great.
Like he does.
Like he always does. The Lord of the Rings part is probably one of the most famous parts in the movie. This customer,
one of the best jokes.
Probably the customer comes in and Elias is taking his order, and the customer.
Wait, back up a little bit.
What?
Elias is playing with onion rings, and he says, "One ring to rule them all." And Randall's giving him shit for being a Lord of the Rings nerd.
That's right.
So then the guy comes, and he's giving him shit about it, talks him, how much shit about it. And then a customer comes in, and he orders onion rings, and he says, "The one ring rules them all" again. And then they're nerding out with Lord of the Rings stuff, like how many times they've seen each one. And Randall puts his 2 cents in.
Yeah, that's right. He's like, there is no.
The only return is the return of the Jedi, not of the King, but of the Jedi.
That's right, and he makes fun of it. And I won't ruin the joke or
tell you everything
exactly, but that part's like one of the most, probably one of the funniest parts.
Oh yeah.
Besides blank the mouth, it's probably the other part that really stands out to me. But this has so many good, memorable moments and things you can quote from the movie.
Yeah.
That's what makes a movie good. A movie to me, if you can quote the movie and say stuff from the
movie.
And
like a normal language, in like an everyday conversation.
Then you know exactly. You
know it's a good movie.
They have a winning formula with Clerks. Kevin Smith does. That's why I'm like Dante and Randall stuff with his parts. Just to go down there and make fun of Crippy Boy, like another part of that. Like, dude, that part to me always stands out. Like, anytime I see people, I think of that word, Crippy Boy. Even though it's really terrible, but
right,
at the same
but
time,
funny as shit.
He's going on. He goes in that rant making fun of that guy on the internet, telling him that he's lazy because he's crippled.
Yeah.
Dude, just the irony of what he says to him, and it's just so many good parts. And Randall just
and don't forget the goodbye present.
The goodbye present.
Yeah, I don't. Do we want to say it or
no?
not?
We won't say because
just Kinky Kelly and the Stud. We'll just say that.
Yeah, we'll just say that because if you watch the movie, you'll understand when you get to that part.
I don't know if we could talk about it on YouTube. Either,
probably not. But overall,
spoiler.
Dude, probably one of my. I hate to say this, but it's like this is even in my top 3 favorite movies or even 4 favorite movies. Like Clerks 1 was great, but Clerks 2 is right there with it to me. Like it was right on par with it. Right. They didn't miss a beat. They stayed true to what it was. Obviously, it wasn't in a Clerks store, but it was at a fast food place, and it kind of stayed true to like the premise of their winning formula of the story, like what they were: 2 guys in a bromance. Randall's still up Dante's ass about everything and loves making fun of him about everything, even though he's the one that probably has a lot more issues than Dante does.
Yeah. Which I hope they bring out in the 3rd one.
I do too. I really do. I think they will. Because if they didn't, then people wouldn't really enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they would be like, what the fuck are we watching here?
Yeah.
This isn't Dante and Randall. This is some made up story for Kevin because he wanted to do a last hurrah.
We don't want to do a spoiler with this too, is that something happened, the Kiki Kelly part gets them arrested and they go to jail, and so they basically lose their jobs. And they don't care, and they bring back an old location. I'll just say that. I won't say what, but because all the money that Jay and Bob made on the movie.
Yeah.
So watch. This is like if you're gonna watch a Kevin Smith movie, watch the first Clerks just so you get the idea of introduction of Randall and Dante and Jay and Bob. But you want to watch the second one for sure.
Yeah, if you're going to watch the first one, you could watch the second one right afterwards. I don't think it really matters. But if you're going to watch in the order to watch them, I would watch, there's probably someone who's made a poster or some type of timeline to say, like, start from this movie to watch just to understand them all. To me, I would just say, if you watch them, just watch them whenever you can. I would say even watch Clerks 2, Dogma, like all the movies that we've talked
there's no real order they go in except for, in their universe, Mallrats is first, Clerks is second. But again, these movies are not so tied together like that where you have to watch one in order to get one. Some of the jokes you might have, a couple of jokes you might have to, whatever, or names they mentioned because they mentioned Rick Darris and stuff like that.
Right.
Stuff, little things like that you'll notice if you pay attention to it. But there's no particular order you can watch these in.
That's true.
And again, what we said with Red State is that it has nothing to do with any of the other movies. Same thing with Chasing Amy has a little bit, but
yeah. And
Jersey Girl definitely has none of that.
And then after this movie, I mean, we could talk about it if we wanted to, but Jay and Silent reboot, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like Jay and Silent Strike Back, but it's rebooted, and there's a difference between a reboot and a remake. I think we touched about this on our other podcast about it, but.
Now they're calling it requels. No, instead of reboot, they're calling it requels.
Yeah, requel. And what is that? A prequel?
It's basically a reboot. It's a requel is you're redoing one of the movies.
Okay. It's
not just a sequel. It's a requel. And
I think we heard about that in Scream, right?
Yeah,
the new Scream. But the reboot movie, it's good. It's just like the original.
It's a grown-up Kevin Smith movie.
It's definitely grown up. It's definitely not one of my favorite movies he's done. I think a lot of people have given that. It's like you wait 20 years to make this movie
because it's not the Jay and Silent Bob they grew up with. It's not so many dick and fart jokes. It's not him smoking so much weed. Yeah, there's some references and little jokes here and there, but nothing like they used to be because of Hollywood.
Exactly, because it's got Hollywood and he had to check boxes. I mean, my biggest point to me about the movie is I've seen it twice and I don't really care to see it again. Like, it's like I want to see
bits and pieces of it, but I won't want to watch it.
Exactly, like they had a couple funny parts in the movie, but overall, it's like
hater does.
Yeah, it's to me. It didn't resonate to me as a great movie. Like I'd almost put that against like even Chasing Amy, something like that. It's like
he makes too much seriousness into it.
But at least with Chasing Amy actually stays true to like to Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
To me right now, and that's why people are kind of mad when they reboot. They're like, this is skinny Kevin Smith, not fat Kevin Smith. Him making stuff. It's like he's changed. This is like one of the things they thought, and that's what their people are worried about with Clerks 3.
Yeah.
I really, really hope, man, he doesn't go down this. But you know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt until it's bad. Whatever.
Again, I've said this 1,000 times, and I keep saying it over and over again. People bitching about movies. If you don't like the fucking movie, you grab the money and you make a better movie.
Exactly.
It's like seriously, man, shut the fuck up. What do you have? What right do you have sitting in your mom's basement playing Nintendo all night, drinking Code Red Mountain Dew, and eating Hot Pockets?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you to say something against Kevin Smith or any other big time actor and director? You're not the one busting your ass to get $20 million to make a good movie.
That's right.
Like I said, you're just sitting on your home downloading fake movie or movies and shit like that.
Well, I mean, I think the part is you got people, you got a fan base, you got a certain perception of what their movies are supposed to be and what's going on. You get these fans that are ultra fans that are really pissed off, or you get the normie person that's just like, well, Kevin Smith sucks. He's woke now, and that's all they think about him. That's all they say. It's like, I got a guy I follow online that used to be a big Kevin Smith fan. Now he says he doesn't like anything about him. He's like he's ruined to me. Like he's tarnished is the way Kenny puts it. And it's like,
that's harsh.
Huh?
That's harsh.
It is, and it's like maybe one movie, but if every movie coming out since then it's the same. Like if it all becomes that way, then maybe you can say that kind of stuff. But one movie out of the whole thing or two that maybe piss you off. It's like, well, maybe not every movie's for you. Maybe he made it for a different part of his fan universe. Right. People appreciate it. There's people that probably love Chasing Amy that hate Dogma, or people that love Clerks that probably hate Clerks too.
Or even I'm not gonna say a particular band, but there's a lot of heavy metal bands, especially nowadays. They don't care what the fans say. They're gonna make the movie. If they're gonna make what they want to fucking make.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care if you buy it or not.
That's right.
Because a lot of these bigger bands nowadays, or even movie directors, they got money. They don't give a shit.
That's true.
Or they make it for themselves.
Yeah.
Basically.
So I guess final words and wrap up of this is to me, and this might be a little bit of a rant, but Kevin Smith to me is always going to be a household name. My house and stuff that I'm always going to watch his movies and content, even if it's not all of it, just the ones I want to show, like my son or my daughter or anything like that. But overall, I think he's a good dude. I think he makes good stuff, and I don't think he gets the recognition. Maybe now he finally is getting the recognition, like you're saying. Maybe he is really a household name and more like mainstream for people because, well, for so long he was just considered an indie film guy kind of guy. He's more mainstream in today's age. Maybe he's more pop culture for people now in this today's age. But overall, I like all the movies we talked about. I pretty much all enjoyed and appreciated. I'm very excited for Clerks 3, but it's one of those things. It's like you never want it to end because there's so much nostalgia with it. You want him to continue to make movies, and who knows how long he's going to. Clerks 3 could be one of his last movies. You never know, but I really don't think he's over with or done yet. I mean, he's only 50 years old, so he's still got probably 20 or 30 more years if we're lucky. Him making probably a couple more movies.
Well, as healthy as he is now, being vegan and shit.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, it's like if there's anything I like about Kevin Smith, it's his universe. Like his inside jokes with his movies, his characters. Like it's relatable, and if you find someone else that you can talk to, and if you get to watch his movies and you enjoy it. It's like you said, it's like an inside joke. You see someone, you meet him, you talk like, oh, you know Kevin Smith, and you start saying those inside jokes. It's like it's something that's just fun and creative, to do with somebody and talk to somebody with.
Gotcha. Well, for me, it's just I'd say, go see as many Kevin Smith movies as you want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you have to watch any, but if you there's a lot of dick and fart jokes. There's a lot of gay jokes. There's basically jokes about everything, religion, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Which would, like again, they're jokes. So just take it as a joke. Don't take it seriously. It's not a jab against you or your religion, your race, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It just go see him because Kevin Smith has a lot of broad spectrum on his movies and his jokes, inside jokes and stuff like that. And I love the guy. He's very cool. He's always down to earth. He gets his fans what they want because he knows he's the kind of person like me where I'd rather have 10 really good best friends than 100 friends that are just there every once in a while or just drop a hay or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I will take that's how he is. Seeing him live last year was great. Thank you very much. Yeah, talking to a kid. The kid was talking about he's an up and coming filmmaker. Kevin, he actually asked about a movie Kevin was supposed to make but didn't, called Moose Jaws, and he told the kid that what, if I'll make it over the summertime or if I make it during your Christmas break, I'm going to fly you out to wherever, and we're gonna work on Moose Jaws together. You're telling a 13-year-old kid this, man. That's like a Make-A-Wish kind of thing.
That is true.
It's true. It's kind of like Eddie getting a guitar from Metallica kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just Kevin's for the people,
Yeah, and I think that's why people like him. He's very relatable and that kind of stuff. So
he's just a human being.
Yeah.
He cares about everybody.
That's true. He does, and I think he voices his opinion a lot. I think nowadays, just everybody wants to label somebody something, I mean, it's positive or negative, and somehow, because obviously, because he's in Hollywood and everybody has to do all this stuff, people feel like he's went full woke on everything, and it's like, dude, if you look back to his movies back in the '90s, and with Chasing Amy and all stuff, he's always been this way.
He even live when I saw him last year, he's sitting there talking about sucking dick, asking his brother, hey brother, his brother's gay by the way. He asked his brother, hey, so what's it like sucking dick? He said that in front of everybody. He didn't know if anybody was gay or if anybody would be offended by it. He just said it, and the whole fucking place erupted laughter.
Yeah, I mean,
little things like that.
It's you can do all of it, right? I think people just think he's woke because that's just like the nomenclature.
That's how it is now.
It's just automatically what you do because if you're in Hollywood, he's like, oh, he just went full woke and he can't make film. It's like, well, who do you think's paying for the film? How do you think he gets the budget for the film?
Right.
This is what he has to do to make this movie. So hopefully Clerks 3 as well.
Yep.
Hopefully it's
September 13th, 15th, as far as we know.
Yep.
And his little around the U.S. tour with it.
Yeah. So if anybody's wondering, our next podcast will come up. It's probably gonna be more. We're starting to get towards fall and Halloween. I think we're gonna start having a bunch of more Halloween type style podcasts come up. If you guys are interested, and if there's anything you want to hear, leave us a like, leave us some.
Subscribe, like and subscribe, man.
Yeah, subscribe with us.
Hit that bell.
If there's anything you want us to talk about, but if not,
if you'd like to be a guest, let us know.
Yeah, if you want to be a guest, you got to pay us some money though first. 'Cause, we got a big fan base of people wanting to come down.
Right.
Maybe
get a line.
Maybe we'll do a cameo for you.
There you go. That'd be funny as hell.
Yeah.
But give us a like, subscribe, check out our old podcasts. Like I said, if you have any problems or any questions or anything like that, you can reach us at mycousinsbasement@gmail.com, or if you know us personally, you can give us a ring or a text.
Till next time.
We'll see y'all later.
See ya.